One of these dudes up there eating and snacking. I don't know what's going on with him. Brother World Class, how you doing this evening?
Fantastic, jacked up, motivated, excited, ready to win. What's going on with you?
Man, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, big brother, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Right on. Bring all the
Right on.
look like everybody's snacking. I guess I must have lost the memo. Today must be a get a snack memo day. I didn't get the
We
memo.
was,
Brother
we was
OMAC,
watching
what's
the
going on,
show.
bro? Huh?
We was watching the show. That's all.
Okay. I appreciate the support from you
Hey,
brothers
brothers.
and great brothers. I appreciate that. Brother OMAC, how you doing this evening? You good?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm blessed.
Good, good, good. Well, I know y'all see the thing going across the ticker of mentor and mentorship. Um, but just if both of you brothers can give us a brief story on how you became mentors or became a part of a mentorship program or whatever the case may be. I appreciate it. Work Class, you want to go first, my brother?
Yeah. First of all, peace to the channel. Shout out to brother Omac, the panel, and the chat. I think once I look back over my life, my dad got sent to prison when I was 3 years old. So you have friends of the family, older cousins. You know what I'm saying? That always went out their way to teach me because of who I am, who my dad was, and my brother was. So I really had mentoring my whole life, you know. And obviously, when you from the city I'm from, and it's gonna be some negative influence and stuff like that. Some people doing some bad stuff, but because it was me, they made an effort to give the best part of them to me. You know what I'm saying? And I think I'm fortunate in that way. So even as a little kid, you taught to look out for certain things, and I'm sitting with the OGs, and you know what I'm saying, um, and they're pointing out little things. So I think I was kind of groomed from being around real street people that made sure I wasn't involved with so much. Um, Kind of grew me to meet my mentor that I ended up having. But between them two was my uncle, and every time I see my uncle, which is my mom's brother, he would tell me, "You come from greatness. You come from great stock. Change is the only thing that stays the same. You do good things happen. You do bad things happen." These are things he told me 100% of the time, every time he saw me. You know what I'm saying? And like those things I relish. I appreciate now because I know I didn't. A lot of kids didn't get that, and those things are the difference between me and a lot of other young boys in my generation that got killed. Went to jail. So from there, I think eventually just piecing all those things together. Honestly, that stuff wasn't enough. But by the time I met my mentor when I was 20, and he said certain things to me that just stuck out because my dad had got out of jail when I was like 15, so he was in there for 12 years. Well, 14. Well, when I graduated middle school, basically. When he got out, I was with him for like good 5 years. But then I met my mentor, and the thing he sold me on was he said reading books is like time traveling. I was like time traveling. He said, yeah, it's like time traveling. He said, if it took somebody 60 years to come up with this living experience and come up with this book, you can get it in 2 weeks. You just traveled 60 years in 2 weeks. I was like, I said, I'm in. So if somebody would have told me that from the beginning, I would have always been reading books. I'd have been always working on myself. And I never looked at books like that at 20 years old. I never looked at books as route running, as doing laps, as push-ups, as flat boxing, shadow boxing. I never looked at books like that. I was fortunate enough to know that you get stronger by being disciplined, controlling yourself. But I never looked at books like that. I didn't know you can add to yourself like that. So his obviously he was skilled. He had a mentor. He talked to me about his mentor all the time. And it wasn't just me, it was my friend Deezy, who I met through him. He's like a year or two older than me. And It's kind of like young bucks learning, so we kind of growing at the same time. So that was dope being around him at the same time meeting my mentor. But he just put a lot of world class lessons in the hands and the head of a hard headed little violent 20-year-old from Liberty Heights in Glen Oak, and he literally saved my life because I was preparing to be very violent, very homicidal, and I think I was at my wits end. And I swear on my life, I'm not even playing. I'm telling you, I say this and I'll end it. Just with respect to the question you asked. My older cousin is a cop. That's where I met my mentor from. And I had came home. I had did this pre-apprenticeship program with electrical construction, hazmat, asbestos, lead abatement, and stuff like that. I did this pre-apprenticeship program and I finished that out. They gave us a stipend and they told us how much you would make. And I was like, $7.50 for the next 3 years I forgot what it's called. It was like right before journeyman. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. And I'm sitting there playing a game, playing, I think I was playing Fight Night. And I paused the controller and me and God had a conversation. I said, listen, I kid you not, I'm joking. It's not a game. I'm telling you the raw, honest truth. Allah be my witness. I said, listen, you got 7 days. You got 7 days to send me something or you're going to lose another one of your sons. Then I picked my controller up and I continued to play the game. 6 days later, my cousin called me and he was like, hey, man, I'm about to go do this, access and why you want to join me? And I was like, yeah. And that's how I met my mentor. You know what I'm saying? So that day changed my life and saved my life because I was about to head out in them streets and join the family business full term. And I thank God for that because that it could have happened just as easily as anything else. So mentorship is the only reason I'm breathing now. I know I wasn't gonna live long. I had no doubt in my mind. And what was dope was, and I'll end it here, is that my mentor actually knew of my dad. You know, when I finally was like, this so and so is my dad, he was like, that's your dad. So the end up there wasn't by accident. You know what I'm saying? It was divine. And you hear a lot of guys talking like that. You know, like these guys that go out of their way to mentor a young man to be saving lives. And I think it's the one divine work that we can do that no white man is stopping us from doing. No corporation, no female agenda, gay agenda can stop us from doing that. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's with our own sons or somebody else's. So obviously it's not a free for all and you got to be the right fit. But I think it's one of the divine works that we can do that really somebody can really pay me for. So I just do my best that I can to make myself available for, you know, the younger generation of men as much as possible. So that's my spill.
World class. I appreciate you sharing that, brother. Thank you, sir.
Definitely.
Brother OMAC.
Hey, how's it going?
I know you when we had our conversations, you shared with me about some of the things that you do and some of the programs you're involved with. So just if you can just, you know, let us know, you know, what you how you got into it and your program that you run.
Pretty much it goes like this, you know, pretty much like World Class basically mentioned, you know, I am the eldest child of a single mother, me and my sister. So when you're basically growing up without that father figure there. So I completely understand how difficult that can be. Then on top of that, you lace that with being born in Gary, Indiana, of all places. You know, for about 5 to 7 years, Gary was the murder capital of the United States. So yeah, that can be real tough to where when you start learning certain things about yourself, that can be quite ugly. You know, luckily for me, my mom basically moved us out of Indiana and she moved us to the wildest place in the world, Tulsa, Oklahoma, of all places. Way down south. Now, mind you now, the reason why there wasn't many black people around there was because that's where Black Wall Street used to be, and that's where the Tulsa riots was at. So it wasn't, like that many black people. But the critical factor was when I got there, I did get into sports. As I did get into sports, I did have my first mentors through my coach. I was blessed to have coaches that saw what I could do, but they also kept me mindful that I had to think. You just couldn't be all powerful and just blow through people because but that's what I was used to. I mean, look, when you get 6'1", 250, 260 pounds, yeah, you can kind of move some stuff quick. But I had to learn that. My greatest lesson, though, was when I joined the military. When I basically joined the Army, that was my greatest lesson ever. Because but then the first 120 days, here come the Gulf War. And next I'm in a war. Talk about understanding what life really is about very quickly. There's nothing more gut-wrenching to hear that siren and you got to go full battle rattle down to the armory, load up, and now it's alive. That is a heart-wrenching thing. It is the most scariest thing that ever happened in my life. Now, luckily for me, I was blessed once again, and my sergeant first class used to be a retired, he used to be a drill sergeant. So he had us tighten up very good. And then when I did get out the military, I went into corporate. My first corporate job was working at Motorola. And once again, God blessed me again. And there it went from mentoring to mentorship. Because my mentor, mentorship goes into patronage, to where you start getting access to their resources and stuff like that. And my mentor, when I was working at Motorola, he gave me access to the things that he was doing. He gave me access to the things that he was doing. He allowed me to go into meetings and to do things based on the fact that I would be doing things in his stead. And he would sit there and say, whatever he says, it goes, because he has my authority. And that was the first time that I'd ever gotten into that part. And then going forward from that part was basically looking into business, because I started finding out that there's a lot of work that you can do in the corporate arena. And then I started my own corporation. And then I started basically working mostly in the in the defense side, basically doing program management, system integration, cybersecurity and risk mitigation services for the federal government. But also along the way was basically mentoring young men, and it really first started just through my sons and their friends. But then it wound up becoming more with one, because I'm also an elder as well, within the church, and basically mentoring the young men that are in the church as well, teaching them, giving them guidance, even at times guidance that they didn't want to hear. So what I basically push for them is to have them to kind of understand what is the biggest influence to our culture is strong Black men, because strong Black men will quickly understand their worth. When they understand their wealth, their worth, they will then go forward and they will look to be married. They will then look to have children. They will establish themselves financially. They will establish themselves in the professional side. They will establish themselves as husband, father, protector. So that's how I basically mentor the young men that's around me.
Well, so hell glad you could make it. I appreciate you being here, brother. I know schedule it's always rough, man. You're a busy man such as yourself, but I do appreciate you being here and take some time out of your busy schedule. So thank you, sir, for doing that.
Listen, when he calls, Sir Hell responds. Thanks for having me on, my brother.
Sir Hell, what's up? Long time no see.
World class, what's good with you? And OMAC, good. What up to the chat? Good to see you guys tonight. Glad that you're here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just wanted to take the time at the opportunity to share a little bit about the mentorship and how you got involved and how you was maybe either a mentor or a mentor, a mentoree or whatever, or maybe both. You know what I'm saying? We definitely want to talk about it. I think, brother, he said, ask the question. What's the name of the mentor groups you fellas are associated with? I appreciate that question. We definitely gonna answer, but I'm gonna give Brother Sir L the opportunity to give a little background history on how he got into it.
So I was involuntarily placed into this. So since I was 5 years old, I was lead singer at church. Gifted, junior deacon at like 7, musician by 11, lead singer at 12, and minister by 14. So since then, like that early age, we're talking about going to nursing homes and to doing Bible studies, and like when I was helping, like remember when we was kids and we used to go together. That's what we called it. You used to like somebody. Y'all write on a piece of paper, do you like me? Yes or no. And then if they say yeah, y'all go together. Yeah. I was given relationship coaching counseling at that age, and just based off of having to do something that most kids aren't doing, you kind of become a mentor, even if it's not sitting down one-on-one talking. It's the way you live your life, and it's the way you conduct yourself. And other young people who see that want to know how you move, the way that you do. So it started that way. As I got older, it become much more intentional, because now I'm a youth director at a church, right? I'm an intern, right? I've got jobs which require me to emulate and model integrity, and then to have one-on-ones to to develop people, but then to develop my leadership skills as well. We progress there, and then we actually do a mentorship group for it was the city of Dalton. Now, I don't want to say this right now because there's the mayor of Dalton is making the city look bad right now. But years ago, it was called the NRI, the Neighborhood Recovery Initiative. And we became a mentor for youth who were at risk. And so I started mentoring involuntarily. And what I mean by that is there was no decision. Now, I didn't say I was going to do it. It was the position that I was in. And then from there, that skill just developed, and we still do it to this day. So now we coach a basketball team. I got my own children, right? So we just that mentorship has carried, all through my life, even as a young man. So that's how I started. Long answer, but that's it.
No, you good. You good. But let me go back to brother. He says a question, and I guess I'll get the first answer. So, say, what was the name of the mentor groups you fellas are associated with? Well, there's a couple things I do in the groups. My company, once a month, we have a thing. We usually go to the local schools, and we have, try to pick a school within my area where I live at, within 30-minute radius. So the program is, we go and I have a sit down and with 7th graders. I don't know why they pick 7th grade, but that's just what they pick. So we go and have a conversation with 7th graders, and it's almost like a career day, right? That's pretty much what it reminds me of. And we just sit there and share with them about what we do and how we got into it, how we got into the career. I do that once a month. I get the opportunity to do that. And I sacrifice my lunch. I don't, my lunchtime is spent there doing that. Please believe my big ass can miss a meal or two. It ain't gonna hurt me. I promise you that. So one day a month's not gonna hurt me. But as far as the organization, I'm part of the Masons. Another group that I participate in is 100 Black men. It's kind of funny. Let me give you a story about that. I was mentored by some members of 100 Black and didn't know they was in there. They never said anything. They never shared it. No. I remember seeing a pen. It just had 100 and a little shadow of a man. I didn't put 2 and 2 together as a kid. I'm a kid. I didn't know no better. But I remember that. And then when I started doing some work with them, I remember seeing that pen again, like, oh, snap. That's who them guys was. Another group I deal with, Omega Sci-Fi has a organization. They do for local elementary schools. So I was, and I still may join the grad chapter. It's still up in the air, but I work with them. So because you got to have so many volunteer hours in a year in order to do that grad chapter. It's a little bit different from when you do on campus or while you're in school. So it's a little bit more mature, I guess. So that's another group that I like to participate in and do things with and help out. I also help and mentor some of my son's still former teammates. Every time he plays sports, I always make sure I try to connect with them guys. Even though I didn't coach them, I just was taking them home. I would just let them stay the night at my house when we go on our AAU trips. I will make sure I say, look, 2 of them could come to my house. I got a couple air mattresses. I got space in my living room. You know, his bedroom's big enough. He can have a couple in there. And so we would do it when we stay in hotels. You know, I always make sure I get the rollaway beds and all of that good stuff. And I said, look, my son can sleep in the same bed I do. I always get a king size. He can sleep in my bed, and them other 2 can sleep on that. We do what we need to do. We're going to make it work. But we always have conversation. And we don't even talk about sports. We just talk about whatever they want to talk about. So that's another thing I like to do and participate in. And just listen to the kids, man. It's kind of funny when you listen to them. They're not that far different from us. I promise you they're not. They just deal with it differently. That's it. Those are just a few things. But go ahead. Sorry.
So a couple of different things. So church is one of the premier places where it's always somebody who needs some mentorship. So church is one. I told you guys the Neighborhood Recovery Initiative. This was years ago, but associated there. And then with the work that I do. So I work for a tech company, and one of the things that we do that's just embedded in the culture is we have to mentor people to be successful. So let me take 2 seconds to give a little story. So the way that I got into the realm of technology that I'm in now, I didn't go the traditional route through school. People who know my story know I went and I didn't go through school at all. Never been to high school, middle school. None. I ended up getting a GED 19 years old. I got an associate's degree at about 30 years old, and life was interesting. And we're talking about poverty, homelessness, the worst you could think of, and in a matter of a decision and willing to make sacrifices and do hard work, we changed our life from poverty to doing very great now. And so what we do is we teach young people and even older people who want to do better that there's no place or group that can make you do better. There's like, you can go to as many groups as you want to, get all the information you want to. That alone is not going to make you better or successful. It's you have to take the information and consume it, and then you have to do something with it. And so the mentorship that we provide now is based off of real life experience. And that's what we do at our work. And then, of course, we have the personal one-on-ones we do today, where people who want to make changes in their relationships, in their life, in their work, we have those as well. So there's some groups, and then there's just life. So
before the Brother OMAC, you go next, let me recognize this super chat from my man, OG Do Dirty. OG Do Dirty for the $5 super chat, man. Thank you, brother. You didn't have to do that, but I appreciate the blessings. So thank you, sir. He said 5 on the live. Salute Hink in the basement. Right on, brother. I appreciate you. Brother OMAC, go ahead with yours.
For me, it basically comes down to mostly church. Church has been the critical factor because, number one, that's where the bulk of my family and my children have been at. Now, of course, like when my kids were, quote unquote, like when my son was unlike when my son was in wrestling or in football, Hink, just like you, a lot of his friends basically spent a lot of time, like around us. And while they're there, you kind of get a chance to basically, sow a seed, like in their life. The ability for them to sit here and see, yes, a black man and a black woman can be married 20 plus years now. Like at this time, me and my wife, we've been married now for almost 28 years now. So, a lot of them did not see that type of stability. So that when they would basically come over to our home, you know, I'm there, my wife's there, our other three, like all four of our kids there, then all of my son's friends are there. They're basically running around and everything like that. But the opportunity was there to basically sow a seed into them, to be able to talk to them, show them this is actually normal. This is something that you can do. When I basically take them up to my office, and in my company we're like on the 12th floor. Now, since I'm the CEO, I got the corner office, so I can basically show them, look, I'm in the corner office. I'm on the 12th floor. These are the perks that you get if you start your own business and you start doing well. These are the things that you can achieve. Because when I was a child and I would be walking through Chicago, I remember looking at the like all the tall buildings and everything like that, just being completely, just mesmerized of what does it take to basically get up there. Now, now that I've gotten older, I can now basically look down and sometimes I miss that child that was down there at the street looking up, because now that you've gotten older, as you basically get older, there's higher levels of responsibilities. And and look, let's just keep it real. Sometimes it'll be nice to be that child again without those worries and those concerns. But this is how I basically also teach them, look, you're men. And because you're men, the world is not going to care whether or not you have a good day or a bad day. The best lessons I can ever teach you, young men, is that to learn how to manage your days, how to work within your days, no matter if you're having a bad day or not, how to still keep it above board, to stay professional, stay focused, and not let anybody knock you off your center path. And they say, hey, do you get up and pray and all the things? Yes, I do. I get up and I pray. And it's like tomorrow morning. I'm waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go work out. I'll go work out. I pray. I go work out. I get back, take a shower. Boom. I'll be at the office by 8:30. And then I'm gonna be grinding out for like the rest of the day. But these are the things that I teach the young men around me, even when some of them are young CEOs as well. They're young, they got money, and then you have to try and basically guide them a bit differently, because number one, with them being in a position early, 32, 35 years old, and and you're already hitting the mill already, yeah, that can cause a lot of problems. Like if you can't tighten down certain aspects of your personality or certain viewpoints that you have, so that when you can try, because like anytime that they can come to me now, they go, sir, I want to get married, but I just don't know how to get married. I said, look, one thing is for sure, you're going to have to kind of learn how not to lead so much with your success, and let her make sure that she gets to meet you, the individual. So those are things I tend to stress to the young men that are around me.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Brother World Class, before you go, I have a couple super chats that I need to make sure I need to acknowledge and read, brother. So let me do that fast, and then you up next, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Right on, brother Tap. I appreciate you coming through for the super chat, brother. You didn't have to bless me with this, but you chose to, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, sir. He said, if any of you are wondering where to start, go to your local community centers and just inquire about getting involved. You'd be surprised all the programs that's available. Right on, right on. We got another one here. Said, even if you are just a coach in a sport and never have too many good men to participate in the lives of children, it could be something as simple as a tutor. We need to be involved. Man, if that's not the truth, I don't know what is, man. Right on to that, brother. Let me got one more here, brother. Brother Mike, man. Brother Mike, thank you for coming through, brother. He said, just paying dues. Brother Mike, you didn't have to do this, but I appreciate the blessings. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Brother World Class, if you may, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, the groups is the culture, the the place that I'm in. More sensitive of America. And one of our bylaws is if your brother or your sister is in need, assist them. It's well woven in our culture to mentor. I walked into the culture. My brother Winston Parks Bay took me by the hand and told me everything I needed to know, and especially but we mainly talked about life, what was going on in my life. So like I said, I've had mentors my whole life, so that's just what I do. So it's just in our culture. It's what we do around the country. Within our culture, I've talked to somebody in every state. You know what I mean? Whether it's health, whether it's law, whether it's understanding, helping people grow their understanding, wisdom, parenting. People need a lot. A lot of young people need a lot of help, man. You wouldn't believe. So it's yeah, it's in our culture. I get it. People older than me, they call me, make sure I'm straight. My big little sister, she older than me, but that's like my baby, so I take care of her. She always checking on me. So that's my temple is that's the group. I would be remiss if I didn't say that. Not so much what you guys got, but I think the way that we do it is kind of like the old ways, the ways the Masons got it from, and it's a little different, but I definitely respect it, and I think more programs need to be developed. Not just because I always separate the two. Um, personal develop Personal development and self development are distinct things to me, and I think people definitely need professional personal development on what they need to do in their goals, but they need self development, something that I think is way more important. And what people really struggle with is identity and knowing what they are with respects to different experiences that's going on, the social climate, and finding themselves. And I think that's way more difficult. And I think that's where those of us that have religious titles and religious positions, that's where we have to step up. And that's where I hang my hat because I think we got a lot of stuff in the personal development and organizations and stuff like that, but come down to those phone calls and of a person taking that rifle out of their mouth or that barrel out of their mouth. Yeah, it's needed. You know what I'm saying? Some tough phone calls. So those are the type of things I've been doing.
Right on, but I appreciate that. And look, again, I'm gonna say it again. It's not just kids.
Yeah,
That needs. It's
yeah,
not. I got a brother in the chat right now that I mentor, man. Good brother, good young brother, man. He's been going through some things. He's going through some things, but I see the growth in a brother, and I love that young brother, man. I see the growth in him, and I see where he's coming along. And when I share with him and I talk to him, I see it in his heart. He's looking. He want to learn. And when you got individuals like that, I go to the ends of the earth for you. I
amen.
rock with you. Call me anytime. Doesn't matter. I don't have no
Yeah,
problem with those type of dudes. I like to deal with. I like to have interaction. I like to have conversation with because those dudes are about their business. They know what they want. They realize I can't do it by myself. And unfortunately, I don't have somebody I can go to or talk to and that looks like me that can relate to some of the things I've been through. But this is brother. He's willing to do it. I'm not charging the brother for what. Man, I've been blessed way too much to even ask for anything. I do it for the love of my people. I do it for the love of my people. So yes, sir. When I see that brother, man, I said, man, keep grinding, keep doing what you need to do. He's sharing with me good news all the time, man. Good news, great news, bad news. I mean, it comes in all forms of fashion, but it doesn't matter. I told him, I said, it'll be all right, man. You stay focused, do what you need to do. Stay focused and do what you need to do. And anytime you need to just to vent, talk, cry, whatever, man, get it off your chest. Man, I'm here. You got my phone number. Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. But with that being said, let me talk about some of the organizations they're doing, and not just in my state. This is in y'all states too. But like Brother Tap said, hey man, go down to the urban league. Every state has an urban league. Usually your major cities have an urban league. Go down there and let them know You looking for a mentor program because you want to be a mentor, or will you want to be involved? Are you trying to get your child to some type of mentorship? And parents, it's a sacrifice you got to do. You got to be willing to do it. If that means that's less time for yourself, so be it. Who cares? Because at the end of the day, it's about your child. At the end of the day, it's about your child. What's most important? You know you can't do it by yourself. You know you need that help.
Could I say this, Hank?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
To that point, what is this? If we got this single mother household crisis, and we simultaneously don't have these mentorship programs packed out, what does that say about us as a people and where we at?
I'm ashamed. It's disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I know a lot of people are not a fan of being stepfathers. I know stepfathers get the bad rap. We hear it. They give me hell about it in the chat sometimes. I think some of the jokes are funny when they say it to me, but it's all good. What are these young boys supposed to do? What are these young boys supposed to do, man?
Well, you gotta look at it this way. Well, a lot of people don't understand. Yes, Hank, just like
before you go, bro, let me read this super chat.
Okay.
That's Dario, man. Thank you for coming by, brother. You didn't have to do this, but I appreciate the blessings. So thank you, sir. He said, great panel. Thank you. Looked like he came over and blessed World Class too. So shout out to that brother.
Appreciate it.
For the blessings. You didn't have to do it, but you chose to. And we appreciate it. I promise you we do. I promise you we do.
Appreciate
you, bro.
Well, a lot of people don't understand because, like you're right, a lot of people do give, stepfathers a lot of grief. But what a lot of people don't realize is that stepfathers are not a normal man. They're not a normal man. Anytime that you are willing to take on a burden that someone else has casted down, to take on what you have and then take on more, that's a stronger man than what many people understand. And not only to take on that additional burden and even potential liability, as well. To do that and still basically maintain your composure to where, one, you have a successful house, a successful home, a successful marriage, then you're more than just a normal man. And a lot of people tend to give a lot of dirt and a lot of grime about it. But the simple fact here is this: if we want to change things around, there's been a massive view of everybody spends more time on the girls than they do like the young boys. There needs to be more time spent on the young men than the girls, and they need to do that for a season. And the main reason why is this: even if a woman gets her degree, becomes successful, makes six figures, nine times through the majority of them, they will still never get married. They'll still never get married. If you flip that scenario around and a young man becomes successful, whether he gets a good job, a man doesn't even have to be making six figures. He get a good solid job, a good blue collar job, and he knows he's doing well. He may not be doing on a high end or not, but guess what? Men at that point will start looking for a wife. He will then basically look for a wife to then basically have, to basically have his children. Now, for me, as a government contractor, going to Washington, D.C., that is a very big eye-opening experience because you will meet tons of women there in the professional scheme. And yes, they are completely decked out and everything. And what is the majority of them? Single, not married, may have been engaged once, and then the other half is divorced. Couldn't maintain a marriage because because number one, they couldn't be a wife at home. They tried to be a business person at home versus being a wife at home. So yes, the focus needs to be the attention needs to go back onto the young men, because the young men will go forward, become successful. They will want to get married, but they also got to sit there and see that there's something marital, something that's good enough for them to even want to be married to. That's another, that's another factor too.
I want to say this about the stepdad thing. I think I had to cut in and keep making this case because it has gotten completely and utterly out of control to where stepdads is catching strays. The reason it's brought up is because the entitlement that modern females today have about what a man is supposed to do, and they do the guilt trip thing that you're not a man if you don't want to take care of somebody else's child. And I think the response to that absurdity has kind of got out of control. So with the I guess climate about stepdads and the lives that we be saying and the jokes that we be saying is solely because the rebuttals have become their own talking points. So we actually need to be backing these guys as actually killing the narratives that men are not taking care of their responsibilities, because men are doing more than taking care of their responsibilities as being stepdads. As even when I was coming up young, I still, in dealing with a chick that had children, I'm still taking responsibility for driving this little kid where she got to go, where he got to go. This baby's life is in my hands, and I'm treating this baby like it's my baby. I may only seen this baby 3 times, but I got to die for this child in this situation. You know what I'm saying? If things come up, and I think men need to be respected in that regard. Not that it's something you aspire to. Of course, we're not saying that. At the same time, yeah, I can acknowledge men don't want to raise somebody else's child, but I don't think it's even that. It's literally just the entitlement, the disrespect that men have gotten about, and young men have gotten about not wanting to raise somebody else's child. It's really the arrogance and the attitude of these females today, for whatever reason. So, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'm done.
No, I was gonna do this real fast and give out some programs. I'll put it in my description so y'all can always click it there later. But I will just list off a few that are not just in my state, but are in other states, and probably in your state if you go and do the research. You gotta be willing to do the research. You gotta do some footwork. I don't have no problem with doing a little footwork for you. That's what I'm doing the show for. But I also, there's other programs, there's local programs that's not in every state, but it's a local, farm raised, homegrown program. The locals that are doing it. So definitely look into those programs as well. But here go just a few. The Boys and Girls Club. They have a great black mentor program. Men of Quality. That's the one I was telling about, the Omega Psi 5 with the Qs. That's one of the programs that I make sure I'm involved in. Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Every state has that. Not only that, brother, I think it was somebody was talking about going to the gym. The YMCA has a great mentoring program. But you got to be willing on going do the research. Like I said, if you go to your local urban league, they have a lot of mentorships. Matter of fact, the one here, now this is about 10 years ago, but I'm sure they still have it on file. They had a book of mentoring programs. Not only mentoring programs, scholarships, internships that kids can do. My son is in one. My company offers that for kids who are 16 and older. Well, not, let me take it back. It's not even 16. 15 and older. 15 all the way up to 21 while they're in college. You're allowed to come and work, get a job, get paid decent money, and only have to work from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. I tell myself, man, those are beautiful hours, brother. You get off same time I do. But you go in 3 hours later that I do. Those are good hours, brother. Plus you get a good, decent wage. It's $12 now, and for him, that's good with money.
Right.
He ain't gonna do but eat it up. Spend it on Xbox.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Don't do that. Don't do it. Do it here. That's all you gonna do. He gonna blow it away. I tell him, say he save a little money here and there. He save towards your check. I said you get paid every week. 1 out of 4 checks need to go down. All of it. You pick the week. You put it in there. Let's get some money. You want this? You want a new car? Okay, brother. I told him I'll meet you halfway. You get half money. I burn the other half. You got a new car. You don't mean to have. You gonna get a piece of shit car. You know, whatever you choose, you gonna save your money for. Is what you gonna get. You want a nice car? I'll be there for you. But you gotta come halfway. So, that's his inspiration to do that now. You know, he's a freshman over there. Freshmen ain't allowed to have cars on the campus. So, he can't take a car right now, so he's not hurting. I offered him my bicycle. He didn't want it. He's too good for the bicycle, sir. Hell, he's too good. Let me tell you what he told me. He said, Daddy, they don't have no bike racks. Man, I'm over there moving them in, man. I see the whole back right by his damn door. I said, what is this? Oh, I didn't know what that was. Bull crap. You see that bike right there? So, and that boy, I love him. You got to love the kids. But yeah, let me bring this other brother up. Brother Clarence, how you doing this evening?
Can you hear me, brother?
Yeah, I hear you.
Good. Doing well, man. Honored to be on the panel with such distinguished brothers, man.
Well, we love to be on with you, Brother Clarence.
Hey,
we love to be on with you.
Oh man. Thank you for having this show, man. Because I just did a video the other day, man, talking about the crisis in especially in the Black community with just men, man. I mean, like solid dudes that can mentor, that can reach out and show these young men how to be better men, man. It's beyond a crisis, in my opinion, man. So, but thank you for doing the show, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Oh, no doubt. And for those who didn't know, Brother Clarence, me and Brother Clarence, Brother Bolo TV, and a Brother Rico every once in a while, his crazy self. We would reach out. We would get the opportunity to mentor some kids all the way in California. Now, of course, it's a different time zone for me, but didn't matter. Brother Clarence said, "Man, Hink, can you do it? Can you talk about this subject?" Not a problem. So if y'all look on my page, I got the recording where we did it. Now, Brother Clarence said we're supposed to start doing it again. I'm holding Brother Clarence feet to the fire now.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing, man. There's gonna be challenges, right? You know what I'm saying? When we were working through a couple different nonprofits out here, but of course, they have life happens to them and they have challenges, so it would affect what we was doing, man. So I said, you know what? I just recently started a nonprofit, and I just said, hey, look, we just do it ourselves, man. We just try to get the thing ourselves going, man. So that I think once we do that and get that established, we'll be able to do a more consistent thing, because that was spotting here and there, but we was all showing up for it, and I appreciate you, Hink, for showing up for it, man. Because I call Hink, man, and say, hey, Hink, we're gonna do this. Okay, it wasn't no, man, I got to do this, I got to do that. He's like, okay, whatever, let's do it. You know what I mean? So in all of them, Bolo, Rico, all of them, right? So that's what we got to do. And we started small, right? I mean, it wasn't no big thing and nothing like that. We just, hey, a couple kids wanted to come in. We did it on Zoom, and we made it happen. You know what I mean? So I think if we just look at it like that, like you were talking about the Boys and Girls Clubs and all that, it just stuff where you have to start small, and then it may build up to a bigger thing where we can affect lots of different young men. And because the sad part is Black men get such a bad rap, especially from our sisters that have been hurt. They get such a bad rap, and that's typically the higher side of the spectrum, and so it's just it. And then a lot of times our young men see good Black men, they don't get done right a lot of times, right? So they go, why should I be good? Why should I treat a woman good and not get nothing? And the dudes that's not treating a man, not treating a woman good, they get everything. So why should I be that kind of man? You know what I mean? So it's a lot. And so, in my opinion, I'm gonna say I'm gonna stop. But it's a value system that this society has imposed on our young men that makes them value tangible things as opposed to spiritual things. We have gone away from the spiritual things, and then now we it's good to have a mix of both, but we just totally went off from spiritual, and this society has told our children, you ain't nothing if you don't have a big house, big car, girls, money flying out of your pockets. And so they just that's what they chasing instead of a spiritual piece, in my opinion.
Right on. Let me do these super chats, and then brother sir, here I'm gonna turn it over to you next. My brother R. Payne. Shout out to you, brother. Marriage, politics, and sports. He said, great show. Well, thank you, sir. We appreciate it. We're just getting the party started. Hopefully you stick around to the end. Brother Tap again. He came back with, he said, brothers, what was your inspiration to become mentors? What drives your purpose and your passion to be mentors? Well, brother, I mean, I said a little bit earlier, but I'll definitely say it again. But let me say this. Thank you, brothers, for donating. You didn't have to, but you chose to, and I appreciate the blessings. Thank you, Brother Payne, Brother Chap again. So my inspiration was because of what I went through, my life experience. Not having a father figure, not having a father in my life all the time. I always had father figures around me to bless me and mentor me and talk to me. With my life experience and what I went through, I wanted to give back. And see, I didn't see it as mentorship. I just thought it was me just trying to help the next man, the next young man, the next young woman. That's how I seen it. I didn't look at it as mentorship. I didn't look at it as that. I look at this man, seeing the young man out there needing some help, needing some guidance, needs some knowledge and just whatever the case may be, and me offering my hand. That's how I seen it. But of course, that's what it is, me mentoring them. So that's what pushed me. And why do I still do it? Because there's a lot of young men out there still need help. There's a lot of young men out there that still need that guidance. So I want to continue to do what I can as long as I got breath in my body. I'm gonna be there. But that's just me. Brother Sahel, if you want to answer this question and share whatever else you want to speak on, my brother.
Yeah, absolutely. So great question, the accountability partner. So mine is very similar to Brother Hink's. So my father passed away when I was 5 years old. And there was a difference when you have a man in your life, a father, and you don't. Life is different. And then if you want to add a good man or a strong, capable man, life is different without it. So I saw the impact of that having a father and the stress that it puts on mothers and daughters. And it would be unfair to go through that experience, not learn from it, and then not help from the lessons you learn from that. So again, mine is very similar to Brother Hink. So having dealt with that, I wanted to provide something, an example, and some support to young men and young girls and young boys who needed that structure, that foundation, somebody to speak into their life. And so that's where the inspiration comes from. But I do want to go on a little rant just for a brief second. Like one of the things about mentorship that I noticed is most people wait until stuff gets bad before they want to be mentored. Like very, very rarely you see, particularly in our community, where that mentorship is cultural. So if the kids are doing good grades, you know what I mean, life is great. There's this idea the kids don't need mentorship. Typically, it's when the kids are out of control, out of hand, and they are unruly that we turn to mentorship as the fix-it solution to bad behavior. And I say that to say is we have to value mentorship before issues arise.
Amen.
if you get kids younger
Yeah.
and teach them that it's necessary to listen to someone who has more experience than you, somebody who's going to coach you and give you uncomfortable truths, because that's what happens in the real world. I think mentorship would be much more appreciated. But instead, and you gentlemen, please correct me if I'm seeing this wrong, but typically mentorship is the last solution to a problem that's been festering for a long time.
Yes, I always thought that. Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm done with my rant.
Yeah, no, I've always thought of it like exactly how you said. Like this is like the almost like the personal messiah or prophet sent into your life to save your life, because you don't have the infrastructure or structure or convenience of that lesson learned. You know what I'm saying? Like I said before, my dad went to jail when I was 3, so the OGs, they kind of kept my head straight, and then I kind of survived until I met my mentor when I was 20. My uncle did a decent job. I said the things that he taught me. But you look at a guy that's not related to you, maybe not even in the same city, that you just find through somebody that you run into by mistake, or you catch a seminar, you go down to his go down to the stage, get an autograph, and you know what I'm saying, or some things like that. Or you bump into a guy, treat him to lunch. Like that stuff is so finicky that guy that's there to mentor, or you get arrested by a cop, and that guy be your mentor. Like that stuff is so non-dependable society wise that you just, that's why I said it how I said it. My mentor saved my life. You know what I'm saying? That's like an angel coming in. And I think I said earlier, it's one of the divine things that we can do, is be there to mentor. Actually in my live earlier I said that, is be there to mentor somebody, because it just takes pure love. Because even if you're a stepdad, I'm knocking the mom down, I'm getting something out of it. But when you're just out in the street and you just find a kid that you take to, or young, because I've mentored women too with particular things that you vibe with, and you just building and you watching them grow. And that's just the dopest shit about mentoring, is just watching potential be developed. It's like it's the best thing in life to see them actually do it, get it, apply it, and then it's theirs. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't do it for the credit. Like every time I go thank my mentor, he be like, "Man, it's you, man. You did it. You killed it. You the killer. It's you. Can't nobody take your credit for what you did." And I just think it's the beautiful process. Because I love being a dad, but I just think it is, like you said, brother Sahel, it's the last resort. You know what I mean? But when it's cultural, which most religious organizations is, when it's cultural, you got your sheiks, you got your bishops, you got your pastors, you have your deacons, you have your imams, you have I forgot what the Jewish is called, rabbis, etc. That's set up for you to have that mentoring already positioned and structured for positive outcomes and stuff like that. But we don't appreciate those things until something wrong happens. And it's just like those two things, that it's that rarity, and it only comes when as a result or option for consequence, and it kind of devalues what it is. And people, like you were saying in the beginning, Hink, when you say mentor, a lot of people think like business, work, you know what I'm saying? And it's not. It's well, the dopest thing about what my mentor taught me, and you hear this, and it blows my mind when people hear this. You hear nobody tell you how to think. He taught me how to think. Like I know how to think now. Like I'm from Liberty Heights and Glen Oak, Northwest Baltimore. I didn't think. I just, hey, you said what? You looked at me how, and I'm ready to act. But he taught me how to think, and he always used to say, "It's your thought process. It's your thought process. It's your thought process. How you think," which is what the word mentor means. The word men, MEN, means to think. So it's dope. It's more fundamental than what we think it is.
You don't
I want to just one more thing to this, and shout out to my brother World Class. This is why great mentors have mentors. Like this is a fundamental thing. But there's another thing that we do in the Black community. So let's say you grew up. Let's say World Class grew up, 2-parent household. He went to school, got degrees. He's got a nice job, wife, some kids. And if you look at his life, brother ain't been on drugs, he ain't drank, ain't been through the parties, ain't got kids. What we do in the Black community, we think that the only mentors they gotta have come through the street. They gotta have been on the drugs. They got to have been in prison. Because if they ain't been through, no real stuff, they ain't not real. Like, we have to stop looking at Black men and our experience in a vacuum, and start looking at mentorship not based off of just simply where they came from or we're like each other. It's like, who do you want to become? Like, what do you want to accomplish? What kind of person do you want to be in the next 10 years? And get comfortable being uncomfortable. Like, you may have come from the streets, but where you need to go, you may have to talk to somebody who don't have that street experience. And if you get it in your mind that you can't hear somebody because their experiences don't match your own, you're going to limit yourself. And I say that to say, this is typically what we do. If people's experience don't mirror ours, we will refuse ourselves. We will prevent ourselves from expanding our perspective because we got to look and sound like each other. And I'm just saying, if you want a mentor, we got to leave room for the possibility that our mentor is going to have different experiences and change our mindset to realize that maybe we can benefit from that, even if our experience aren't the exact same.
Hey, sir, okay, were you about to go somewhere else? I don't want to take up your show. Were you about to go somewhere else?
No, I was going to let Brother OMAC go, but go ahead, brother.
Sir, Hell, could you make a distinction between mentoring and teaching? And by that I mean for the person being mentored or being taught, because like I always say, I'm not a teacher. And I say that because I met amazing teachers. I don't have that skill to just teach anybody. I can mentor where there's a certain level of thought process, a certain thought process I can help you get to, a certain thing I can help you get to. Because the way we teach as a mentor is very, very distinct from a teacher. So what are ways that you can express to somebody being mentored or being taught to see the difference between the two?
What's interesting about that question is most great teachers don't go around calling themselves great teachers. Same thing with the best preachers. And so I say that to say, you may not consider yourself a teacher because we know, to me, teachers have one of the most prolific jobs. Like if you look at the breakdown of the word teacher, it doesn't mean somebody who just says stuff. It doesn't mean somebody who just teaches concepts. It literally means you have something in you that you can cause a person to learn. And that, to me, the root of that is mentorship. You're able to find a way to reach the person. And it doesn't mean you have to orally teach them. You can teach them based off the way you conduct yourself or the way you handle situations. And so is there a difference? If we're looking at presentation, there's a difference. But if we're looking at impact, these are very, very similar things. And I would dare to say,
I would agree,
it's impossible to be a great teacher without the ability to mentor. And it's hard to be a mentor without the skill of teaching using whatever method is necessary.
Yeah. Because I equate that to, you got a guy that like a center. He play under the rim, but he can hit the three. He's not a 3-point shooter, but he can hit the three. Then you got a 3-point shooter at a point guard. He can hit the three. He can make some shots under the bucket, but you got guys that are special. They can do both, and that you have to kind of do both. Center kind of don't have to make threes, but you got to have that part of your game. But I think it gets down to the point, especially at our age and older, you got to become a specialist. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You got a particular place where you belong, and you can help people play your position. You know what I mean? Whereas there's other positions that are just as important. I can step in and hold the welding machine, the torch a little bit, but I ain't a welder. I can get that line, get that stringer bead going. So, and I always say respect the craft. I've seen some teachers like, I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So I just respect their ability. It's like, I can't possibly do what you're doing, because you got people that I look at teachers as people that can just teach everybody. And I know and maybe my limitations as a mentor, but there's only like a particular people that I'm designed for. You know what I'm saying? And not that I have to stay in that realm, but you did answer it, because you said in presentation the way it looked. Yeah, because I'm gonna teach you something, and then we're going to the field to see if you can apply it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But whereas a teacher, board, homework, scholarship, it's more than that. But it's a time of the day where you're gonna have the quiz is every lesson. Every lesson is a quiz when it's mentorship time. But appreciate it.
So, Brother OMAC, if you want to answer this question, and we have another one from Brother Tat, but Brother Tat got the questions tonight, and I appreciate it. And anybody else who has any questions, more than welcome to send their questions in, either via super chat or just in the chat period. We will definitely try to address them as we see them. But go ahead, Brother OMAC.
For me, my inspiration concerning being a mentor was the fact that I had to learn about being a man pretty much by myself. You know, I had my coaches, and my coaches were good men. I love them all to this day. But they couldn't be, they couldn't be in my life all the time. They were mostly during football, basketball, or wrestling season. And then in between time, through classes and stuff, they basically make sure that, we weren't doing too much, dirt. But when it came to be when you needed them the most, wasn't at school, was basically that home life. Was a time where that single mom isn't there to basically watch over her son, and now, you're starting to run through the projects. So for me, being a mentor was to basically help those kids and those, future young men who did not have that father figure. They would be around my son, and I could basically, sow a seed into them, basically help them to understand. Even up included to where we even had a young man who was basically my son's best friend, basically come and live with us for about 2 years. And during that time, I basically told like his mom, look, he's here, he's up under our home, he's around me, I'm gonna treat him exactly like mine. I said, look, and if there's a problem for you, then one, we can't do this. His mom was living that alternative lifestyle. He was growing up without a father figure, like in his life until I basically came along. And then, like, when I came along, I basically gave him structure. Now that the same young man has graduated from college. He has gotten married. He's now expecting his first child, I think, in September.
That's what's up.
But see, this goes along with that whole thing about if you help and mentor and structure young men, they quickly get it. He got his degree, he got a good job, good benefits, and guess what? His next step, boom, get married. So he got married. He's now going to have his first kid, I think around September or so. So I'm actually looking forward to my little grandson, like my spiritual grandson. Like my second one. But the fact is, the ability to be able to sow into them, because I understood about being that child who didn't have that father figure there. So, and it was mostly through my sons, and then also through like the church as well. That when I would be doing something like with my son, and then we'll be about to leave, and then I say, hey, what about so-and-so? Oh, well, he's going like with his mom, and well, they're going to go, no, just tell him to come along. They go, really? I say, yeah, just make sure his mother talked to your mother first. And it was like, oh, really? And then I basically cleared it that way. But the ability to sit here and say that I have now mentored several young men that are now making upward toward $100,000 a year is, to be honest, it does make me, it does fill me with pride.
Yeah.
Seeing them do well from that part, and then the other young men that are professionals and CEOs, to see them do better in their business, and them starting to tighten up how they do things, and now they're actually looking to see how to proceed forward and basically getting married as well. Those things are important because, like I said that the biggest benefit to the Black community is one Black man becoming confident, becoming successful, because he is more likely than a woman to basically go seek a woman for marriage and start a family. That is the biggest factor. And a lot of people tend to overlook that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, let me go. What my brother and brother Bolo TV? What's going on tonight, brother? Hopefully all is well with you.
All is well, fellas. How y'all doing?
Hey,
What's
brother.
going on?
Got these distinguished men up here, man. Look at
It's all good. It's all good. Well, glad you could make it tonight. I know you say you run a little late, man. Man, out there doing work, man. After you got to earn a living too now, man. Can't just you got to put food on the table, right? You know, it ain't nothing wrong mentor and volunteer. But the man also got to do work. So Brother Bolo made it. He rushed home from work after the long traffic that he had to deal with, but he made it, and that's all that matters. Brother Bolo, I appreciate you being here. I don't know if you can see the question on the screen. This is the question all the brothers was answered to, but I have another one right after this because my brother Tat, but he coming through. He got the questions, brother, and I appreciate that, brother, for the participation. But brother Bolo, if you can, want to talk about this question on the screen?
absolutely. Brothers, what are your inspirations to become mentors? What drives your purpose and passion to mentor? Wow. To see the effect that my father had on me and my siblings, and growing up with my mom and dad and seeing other children that didn't have their mom and dad. And then as you start to get older, you start to see the difference in thought process. And I think it was Sir Hale or the brother above me that said that it's hard to have a young man think like a man when he hasn't had one in his life. You know, it's hard to just tell him go out there and be a man. There's a thought process to it. There's a way of a skill to it. And one of the brothers said that, you know, I see these young men, they're quick to react opposed to respond, right? Reaction is a knee jerk thing. There's no thought process to it. So when you sit there and you tell these young men, just, you know, I understand that the impulse is to run in there and do whatever. But sometimes you have to sit down and think, let that emotion pass by, let that 3 seconds pass by, and then think about what you're going to do before you do it. And this is the purpose, the reason why we started Testimony Friday, right? To have other people that have had experiences that other people have had that has not had these experiences, to kind of guide them through it, because we're a plethora of information and knowledge, right? So we're going through things, and there are young men and young women that are about to go through it, and we've learned, whether it was good or bad, for the best or for the worst, we have information, a wealth of information that we can pass on and have them grow so that they don't make the same mistakes that we've made. So, and plus just how, you know, Christ has been in my life, you know, and I've done a lot of things. Oh my God, I've done a lot of things, and he's always been there. So, you know, I just look at it that, you know, we have to just pass it forward.
I definitely appreciate that, man. Let me get to the next one, 'cause brother, like I said, brother, Tat come through with the question. So his next question is, shout out to Brother Tat for the $5 super chat. He said, how do you measure success as a mentor? Also, have you had a mentee fail? And can you explain the scenario, how you were able to move forward? So, unfortunately, you're going to have those situations. Unfortunately, it happens. So the time it happened to me, I had to look at myself in the mirror and ask myself, man, was it something that I didn't share with him, that I should have shared with him? Was I not vulnerable enough with him to make him feel more comfortable? Maybe he would have not did what he did. So this young man got in trouble for embezzlement. He started working at the Boys and Girls Club because I encourage, and that's the bad part. I encouraged him to do, the volunteering to give back. And he moved up in the ranks doing it. It's unfortunate he was tempted. He was tempted. He had a gambling problem. And he made some bad decisions. But That's the one that really I can really remember feeling probably the hardest. Now the other one was, you know, they did some dumb shit, you know, got suspended from school, got in trouble at school, was a bit disrespectful to the mother, and we had conversation about it because it's going to happen. So, you know, young men gonna do what they do, but that's probably the one that most affect me the most, because I not only told him to, you know, to get volunteer at the boys club, but to you know, be a mentor itself, and hear that story that happened. It really hurt me. But at the end of the day, you know, the saying, not everybody's gonna make it. Not everybody's gonna make it. It's just not for everybody. Not everybody's built for it. And he's so happy. He just wasn't built for it. So that's my experience. Brother Clarence, you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you can, I don't know if you want to, if you feel comfortable sharing. I mean, look, everybody don't have to share if they don't want to. I understand. I mean, you know, it could be challenging, but if you feel like you want to share, I appreciate that. So, Brother Clarence, you got
I you know, how I would measure success as a mentor would be more what you're giving, because you can't make somebody take what you're giving. You know, you can't make them. Only thing you could do is do the best job you can at giving it. You know what I mean? We all got sons, and so sometimes your son listen, sometimes he don't, right? So you know, sometimes they surprise you and listen. Sometimes they surprise you and not listen. So you know, and that's your sons, let alone people that's outside of your home. You know what I mean? You really don't have no control over what's going on with them. But the best, in my opinion, the best way to measure your success is to look and see what you gave. What did you give this person? How hard did you work to give it to them? That's the measure of success. They may do what they may do, and then maybe 10 years down the line, it click on them, right? It ain't always gonna click right away for some of these dudes, man, that came up in the youth authority, that came up in the youth authority, the foster care system, that came up in a lot of stuff like that, man. So their mind is built around survival, not thriving. We have to get them back onto the thriving thinking, and not so much on the survival, because their survival depends on so many different things when they're in that situation, or even when they have a home that's has some dysfunction going on in there, right? So you never know what's going on inside people's homes, man. You never know. So I think that the best thing we can do is to just give it the best way we got it. Give it your hardest, and just try your hardest to give it to them. And you know, really, it's really up to God if they're going to take it and use it and be successful. And have I ever had a mentee fall down? Sure, of course, we all have. You know, had people that we were teaching and we were really behind them, and then they went left, and then you're like, what happened? You know, I had a person that I was kind of mentoring, but just from afar, a coworker that I was trying to, and you know, he just was so caught up in the rap game. No disrespect, but he was just caught up in the rap game, and we were like new hires on the job. And I said, hey man, you know, you got 2 daughters, right? You got 2 daughters, and young guy, right? 20 something years old, 20 years old. And I said, man, you got 2 jobs. So, but he didn't listen. You know, he was a good dude, but he just was so crazy with what the society told him he should be, that he kept chasing that. He couldn't let it go. And so I saw him like 10, 15 years later. I still was on the same job. And I saw him. He gets out of the car, just like the Up in Smoke Tory. He got out of the car at the gas station. Back doors of this car that was across from the pump I was on opens up and nothing but smoke came out, right? And this dude walks out, right? I'd seen him in 15 years, right? I said, hey, where you been, man? He said, oh, man, I should have listened to you, man. Now I'm working 3 jobs and I ain't even making the same money that, you making over there. And I said, and then he got back in that car and he took off. I ain't seen him since, right? But, I felt bad for him and his daughters. But what can I do? I can only do what I can do. So, yeah, I think we all, just give your best, man. Do your best. Give from your heart. Be sincere. I think these young men, they can sniff out sincerity as opposed to you just doing this for whatever reason you're doing it. So just be sincere. That's it on me.
So that reference, this old son of a gun, Clarence is made up in smoke, is a reference from Cheech and Chong. So you young cats out here probably have no idea. Sir, here on World Class, I don't know if you know anything about Cheech and Chong, but there used to be some characters. They used to smoke. They used to smoke the weed all the time, and so it's like a movie reference where he's talking about. Now I know people say, "Oh, that's just a song." No, I think Brother Clarence's old ass is talking about Cheech and Chong.
Definitely.
Hey, before I'm let World Class go, I'm gonna do this real fast. Shout out to Dedicated to the Children's Future. I love that name, brother. Right on. Gifted 1 membership to the Basement Dweller. Shout out to you, brother. I appreciate that, good brother. You didn't have to do that, but you chose to, and I appreciate the blessings. Thank you, sir. But go ahead, World Class, if you made it. Let me repost the question so you can see it if you need to.
Yeah. So the first one, first part of the question, he said, how do you measure success as a mentor? This is the dope part about my mentor. He directed me to more mentors. One of the guys he directed me to was a well-known guy in self-development arena that passed away years ago, kind of a couple years after I came into him. It's crazy. Learned about him is Jim Rohn. He said, make measurable progress in reasonable time. That's how we measure success. Make measurable progress in reasonable time. And that's how we look at it. So obviously, great. It can be some intangible. It can be an intangible goal, but we still need to measure it. You know what I'm saying? And it should be able to be measured in a reasonable time. So that's that part. And obviously that's relative, but it's general enough to apply to a lot of different situations. The one mentee that failed, because I was thinking we were talking about, at first I thought you meant like, they fail at something. I'm like, well, all of them fail. But, the ones that had to leave, and that was my little brother. You know what I'm saying? Because he's around my mom a lot. And then he had to lay down a rule pursuant to who you are as a person, you know what I'm saying? And your words got to matter. So my message to him after it's been years and years and years is, you do this, I can rock with you. You do that, I can't. So I think I was maybe 29, 30. He took his ass back to jail doing the same stuff. I said, I'm done with you. It's a wrap. So that was like, to be honest with you, that was like my baby. That was like my son, for a long time. My big inspiration for me, to being a better person. But he made decisions that led me to say, you know what, you gotta go your own way, because you don't come from that. Like I say, I tell people often, I ain't never been in jail. I don't got no criminal record. So you're not following behind me. You need to continue to go follow behind who you got that from. It ain't me. And that's, what I'm saying? That's what my blood came out of the same womb. And that's how I am as a mentor, and that's how I am as a man. I'm not gonna play games with my own bloodline. I'm not gonna play games with you. It's not gonna happen. So yeah. You muted me, Hink.
You're on mute, Hink.
That ain't no good, is it? Man, I'm glad. Thank y'all for mentoring me on get my damn thing off me. This thing full circle, right? If any other brothers want to share, if not, Hey, shout out to the chat, man, with the great questions. I appreciate you guys and your participation. And we definitely, I'm gonna try to make sure that I get to these questions, but I definitely want to make sure I highlight the questions that come to the super chat because I gotta make they donate money, they blessing me, and they don't have to. So I gotta make sure I acknowledge those first. But yes, I will get to the questions in the chat. Any other brother want to tackle this one? If not, then I'm gonna move on to the next question.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. You go ahead. You go, brother.
no, was that brother Clarence?
No, it's leaving.
No, brother OMAC.
You said that. So, just real quickly, one of the big things is you got to measure how they handle a situation versus how they handle it after you mentor them. This is a huge one that everybody needs to pay attention to. So mentorship is not just them getting stuff or them having one-time success. That's not what mentorship is. That's coaching. Coaching is to get them to a desired outcome once. Mentorship is changing the state of the way that they think to sustain permanent success. So an example is, let's say it could be something small. Let's say you got a young person or some person that they're not vocal enough, and they get walked over, they get pushed on, and you start to realize that they get pushed over and walked on because they don't want to offend anybody. They think that they are going to be angry and be perceived as aggressive, and so in situations where they actually should speak up for themselves, they just choose to be passive and just let people walk over them because they hope that people will see their goodness and then choose to do better. Mentorship is you have to have boundaries, and you have to be able to go through the same situation and handle it differently consistently. So I say that to say, if you want to measure it, look at how a person handles a situation after you mentor them on a continual basis. Like that shows you whether or not you're making progress, because they're showing that progress and how they handle whatever that situation might be. I just wanted to add that piece.
Right.
Absolutely.
For me, the way how I've always looked at it is this: a lot of young men tend to not know their capacity. They tend not to know their limits. One of the greatest things that I learned by basically being in the Army was learning limits, learning boundaries. I never knew I was capable of doing some of the things that I'm able to do now. I never knew I had that mental fortitude to go through the pain and the struggle of it until I got into the military. I never knew I could basically push myself beyond, even with me playing football. Football is one thing. Basketball is one thing. Wrestling is one thing. So you kind of know how to push your body. But when you then go into the military, it's wartime, it's now fatigue. That's a whole nother different thing. That was a learning lesson that's completely, it's priceless. When I basically mentor young men and I talk to them, I go into deep dives with them about asking them, what do you think a man is? What do you think it's going to take for you to be able to be successful? Now, I tend to war game with them as well. And then I flip it on them and sit there and say, so tell me, let's say you just passed away. What would you want your obituary to say about you and your life? And that tends to catch a lot of them like off guard. They go, huh? Dead? I'm dead? And what would I want my obituary? Yeah. What would you want your obituary to say about your life? And then whatever you put down, here are the actions needed in order for that to be successful. These are the things you're going to need to do. So I'll basically work them and say, okay, look, you now died at 90 years old. What do you want to see? Well, I really don't know. I said, well, let's work through it. Would you want to be married? Yeah. I would have wanted to be married. Okay. We always want to take it from the fact of being married once, not twice, not three times. So you're married. You have kids. You're going to have grandkids. You want to own your home. Do you want to have some land? Do you want a retirement home? And basically walk them through those steps and those processes of what it is going to take. Now, the measurement point like I said, like in my one example, and a young man came to basically live here, like with me and my wife, for about 2 years. That measurement was him coming from a single parent home of a mother living a alternative lifestyle to where he's now graduated, he's now married, he's now about to welcome his child in the next few months. He's already broke the generational curse that was on him by being a you know a single child. Now, back in the day, sit there and say he's a bastard child. But the niceties of this world now is you don't say that. He's already broken that. He is, I mean, he's literally on the path to where one, by the time he's 35 to 40 years old, he's going to be closer to 100 grand a year. He'll probably have 2 or 3 kids then. So those are solid measuring points. And he still calls and sits there and says, "Hey, Dad, hey, what about this? Hey, what about that?" And then like I go ask him, and then I sit and say, "Hey, look, I'll be down that way. Hey, look, you want to go shooting?" He goes, "Yeah, let's go shooting." And I basically take him to, and then I basically take him to like the range. So I basically take him on a long distance range. And he goes, "Why, why are we going to a long distance range?" I said and said, a long distance range is a perfect example of the target you're trying to hit later down the road for your life. I said, so if you can hit this target at 25, 50, then 100, and let's say you veer off before you hit 250. Well, I'm gonna show you how. I'm gonna basically show you how to correct that. So each one of those functions, each one of those lessons that I basically teach them, help them to stay on target. So for me, that's how I kind of help them to basically stay on track with him, and even my my other spiritual son that's here as well. Well, he had a situation where he had to break up, and the woman tried to take his son away from him. And I was telling him like the entire time, I said, "Look, if you don't listen, you're about to lose your son." And I had to kind of get ugly with him about it. And guess what? If he wouldn't have put through his paperwork, 1 week later, she had filed paperwork and he would have lost full custody. But from that point forward, he now gets it. He now gets it. So he's definitely more attentive now, because he's kind of getting the whole fact of the advice that someone is sowing into them. He's now getting it as well. So those are just some of the quick examples.
Oh, so you got a couple more questions, and then shout out to Brother Tab for definitely helping the question get noted and highlighted. He said he's not going to let me miss a word. Hink. I'll make sure you're not going to miss these questions unless they get too long. I know that's right. I know that's right. But look, Brother Bro, I'm gonna let you tackle this next one. I'm gonna answer it first though. And this is from the sister via my man Tap. He said, "What with each of you say the 3 top areas young boys are missing where they could use mentors?" It's a good question. One of the things is I try to instill confidence as one of the top 3s, accountability, and last but certainly not least, finance. Those 3 things that I are my top 3 that I definitely try to make sure I teach them, I talk to them about them, and hopefully they're able to move forward with those lessons. I really hone in on those. Now, if there's other things that I see about the young man that I'll have more emphasis on, I'll talk more, or give more acknowledgement on, I will. But those 3 is just the basic. That's what I would do. Because, man, look, the confidence is very important. It's very important because most of these kids have little to no confidence for whatever reasons. So I try to make sure I build that up first. You know what I'm saying? With building that confidence up, now they feel they could be more accountable. Now their finances is going to be where they want to be, because they want to be, that confidence is going to help build it up and want want to go pursue them finances or learn about finance and learn how to make more money or learn how to manage their money. So those are my top three. Brother Bolo, if you want to answer next, you can.
Okay, yeah. I think those are great. I have 6. I typically give AAA, right? Acknowledgement, acceptance, and application. Acknowledgement, knowing that a lot of the reasons that you're in the position that you're in is because of you. A lot of the times we're quick, the younger youth are quick to push blame outwardly, opposed to looking inwardly and saying, damn, my choices is what got me here. And we have to know that there's ramifications for the choices that we make, right? And in between acknowledgement and acceptance is the growing curve, right? Learning that, to every action has a reaction and there is no comfortability in growth. And then when you walk out that better man, you then can apply what you've learned. The other 3 things that, I believe that we need to instill in the young men are being emotional, vulnerable with one another. There's a lot of young men that hold on to their pain in silence. And it doesn't make you a weak man, doesn't make you a punk. All these stigmas that are put on men when they talk about, there's times when I call up Sir Hale and I just say, listen, am I off when I did this? And Sir Hale will be like, nah, what you mean? I said, well, just there's nothing wrong with calling up the brother just to get that check, just to make sure you're on kilter. Call Brother Clarence. The other thing is knowing when to ask for help from another man. Knowing when to ask, because again, what you said, ego is strong, especially in the Black community. The ego is crazy, and there's a big difference between ego and confidence, because ego is something that's driven outwardly, opposed to confidence being something that's inward, right? It pushes out inwardly. And the last thing I would say was is testing your limits. Knowing how far you can get. Again, a lot of the times we focus so far into the future and we miss what's right here in our face. And I'll give you a quick story. There was a man leading a blind man, and the fog started to come, and he was like, I can't see. And the blind man said to him, can you see the step in front of you? I said, yeah, focus on that, because we're going to get to where we need to be. But a lot of the times, the things that we need to learn is right here in the now, which prepares us for the future.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Anybody else want? Because I definitely need to make sure. Thank you, AP, for the $5 super chat, brother. You didn't have to see that, but I appreciate it, and I'm sure the sister appreciates you asking the question to make sure we get a highlight. So we did acknowledge it. Thank you, sir, for the blessing.
Yeah.
Go
Can I
ahead.
take a swing at it? Oh, go ahead, World Class.
Yeah, we can make it an acronym. I never even realized I had them 3, but accuracy, making sure that you do the research. It's better to measure 10 times and cut once, and only measure once and have to cut 10 times. For it's identity. Yeah, finding out who and what you are and why you are, answering all 3 of those questions. So, like Brother Bolo just said, your limits. My emphasis is finding out what you already are, so you don't have fleeting wants and pseudo needs and waste your time with stuff when you're already made out of that stuff, if not more. And D is always discipline. Discipline makes everything possible. It is the foundation of what a man is, your ability to do what you're supposed to do when nobody's looking. So
Go ahead, brother Clarence.
All right. Yeah, man. I actually got 4 things that I wrote down. One of them is spiritual values. Another one is, like you said, finance, and then relationships, and then self-defense. I think spiritually, our young men are broken, and they're not even taught. They're not even, unless they have a religious connection to some or religious order, they're not even told to seek that spiritual equilibrium. And so even though they have the money, even though they have the girls, even though they have the cars, they're not happy. They're not able to get to that spiritual equilibrium that will give them the peace that they're looking for, right? And the value system that this world says, or you don't need a spirit. You don't need a spirit. Just get money, right? That we got. Unfortunately, our young men have taken that too hard, literally, where we could have a woman go into a hot dog stand and a man get mad, not because she touched him or hit him or anything. He got mad because she was speaking to him in a way that he didn't appreciate, and he turns around and hits her. Then the son comes in and unalives the guy. I mean, the whole situation could have been avoided, right? But but on both sides, a lot of our young men don't have the critical thinking because of the value system. We don't have the critical thinking skills to be able to consider, say, hey man, if I pull the trigger on this dude, I may do 20, 30 years in prison. Or if I hit this lady, somebody may exact revenge on me. We don't even use that. That's the first one. Then the finances, right? In the finances, we've been told, once again, from the value system of this society says to us, how you get it is how you get it. It don't matter how you get it. If you work for it, you a sucker. Because I could, if you got something I want, I could just take it from you. I just steal it from you, right? This is the might makes right situation that we living in with our young men, and we gotta change that, because they think, hey, if I got enough bullets in my weapon, then I can take what you got, and that's killing us. But the finances, we got to learn how to create finance in a proper way, in a way where we're not going to damage or destroy another person in the process of doing that. And that creates empathy in us, helps us grow spiritually. Relationships, we are doing horrible in relationships. Horrible. I mean, horrible is a nice way of putting it. We are. My son was had to recently go to family court over his custody of his daughter, and we've been going through this for 5 years. Everything that happens with the girl's mother, with the baby's mother, they give her another chance and another chance and another chance and another chance. She didn't come on this day. She didn't do this. She didn't do that. They give her another chance. So we still going through it, right? She don't even have a lawyer. They're using my son's lawyer, right, to try to mediate the situation. But here's the thing. That's the situation you in. That's the situation. So if we know that's the situation, let's impart on our young men how to avoid these situations, because a lot of us, I'm gonna just be real with y'all. A lot of us trying to compete with them to get into, be sexually selected for these women. And so we don't say nothing to them. Even though we know game, we just say, he ain't gonna listen no way. I ain't gonna even say nothing to him. When in reality, we should be trying to educate them and not competing with them or hindering them just so we can compete with them for the females. And the last thing is self-defense. Our young men don't even know how to defend themselves without pulling a weapon out, and they don't even know how to use a weapon right. So they're untrained, they're just crazy, excuse me, emotional tornadoes that once they get set off, they just do whatever, right? And they end up spending 50 years, 20 years in prison for just getting mad at somebody. They don't know how to separate getting mad and then, okay, now I'm gonna decide what I'm gonna do in a civilized manner, right? So this is the things that I feel that those are the areas that are like need to be addressed right away. A lot of our young men don't even know how to defend themselves if somebody jumped on them, did something to them, whatever, right? Then especially these young ones, right? They go to prison because they pulled the trigger on somebody they shouldn't have pulled the trigger on. Now they're doing 30 years. And since they're a murderer, they put this little guy in there with all these murderers, and guess what? They're on the business end of somebody's reproductive organ, right? And who wants to deal with that as a grown man? So that's why I would say those 4 things, in my opinion, are critical areas. But there's so many more. But those are 4 critical areas.
Yeah. I would say
Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna break it down into 2 parts. The first part is going to be Christ, confidence, critical thinking. First of all, if we are not teaching these young men whom Christ is, if we don't give them that structure as early as possible, give them the structure as well as them see us walk it out as well. It means nothing to this generation if you squawking about it, but yet they seeing you, like they're basically watching you get drunk, get high, chase women, have children in this house, children in that house. Okay, they can't, they can't get behind that, because what's the point to them? So they're gonna basically view that as us being a hypocrite. Confidence. Many of them don't have confidence. It is, for them, being confident is basically wearing $200-300 Jordans and clothes like that. That's supposedly making you confident. No, you just spent a lot of money foolishly on top of it. Then the critical thinking. Critical thinking, it is such a big thing, because critical thinking will, quote unquote, slow you down, but slow you down to move faster. If you have critical thinking, that means you're going to process the situation. That means you're just not going to jump off the mark. You're just not going to say anything. You're going to sit back and see exactly what are my options. And that is not being taught to them, because when they are being raised by a bunch of single mothers, you have to understand what most single mothers do is a emotional brain processing. So that's why you see so many of them completely, unhinged. My second part is VLD, volume, language, distance. Now, when they get into this part where they're not using like they're not doing any critical thinking, that's why they get into the altercations that they do. VLD stands for volume, language, and distance. You can always tell when a fight is about to kick on off. The volume goes up, the language gets more harsher, and the distance starts getting shorter and shorter and shorter. But the main problem nowadays is that these young cats, when things get remotely sideways pocketed, they're pulling out a gun. And then some of the real stupid ones, they don't put a switch on a Glock now. Now, mind you now, semi-automatic is actually pretty decent in accuracy up to 20 yards. You put a switch on it, it's not accurate at all. You're gonna wind up killing everybody else besides the person that you want to shoot. As crazy as that is. So the whole point of getting them to slow it down, to have that mind of Christ, to go, this is not the way how my dad, this is not how my spiritual dad worked, my Father in heaven. You have not seen you have not seen your father, you have not seen your mentor move like in that way. Okay, I may need to approach this situation differently. You got to give them examples. These young men nowadays don't care about anything until they know you care about them. So we have to be willing to show them how much we truly do care, even if that means we have to check them along the way. They may get upset, but more times than not, even when I've had to check some of the younger men that are around me, they come back and they go, you know what? Hey, Pops, you were right. No problem. Hey, look, you don't need to apologize. I just wanted to make sure you were straight. We dapped and, and we left it alone. And that's the things that we got to do.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I All right, Brother Sahel, did you want to tackle this? Because we got
Yes. So at this point, this ain't even prolific. I'm just adding on to what all the other brothers have said already. Brother Clarence said something that I wholeheartedly agree with, and that is the value system. Like that, if you can break all the stuff we talked about, and that has to be put into the value system of boys. Sadly, and this goes into the second thing is we raise our boys off of what men ain't. Like, I can't tell you how many times I heard, well, black men aren't doing this, and black men are not this, and black men need to do this, and black men, you hear so much of what we're not and what we need to do that we never get time to hear the positive things or see ourselves in a positive light. So that goes to my second thing, is we got to instill a sense of self-esteem. Like, this is like what I just said. You don't really hear this a lot when it comes to young boys, because as soon as they out the womb is what's your purpose in life? What's your mission? What you want? What's your plan? You know, my oldest son is 16, right? My oldest son is 16 years old. He'll be 17 this year. And I looked at him. I looked at my son and remembered that when I got married, when my wife was pregnant with him, I was just 3 years older than he is today. 3 years older. And the amount of pressure as a married man at 19 years old who's getting ready to have a child, it's unbelievable the amount of pressure you're under to be 40 years old at 20. And it's even more difficult when you don't have any self-esteem, because nobody told you that you're capable and you matter and that you mean something to people. Typically, we associate manhood based off of what he can do. So if he can't defend you or he can't give you money right then and there, then he's worthless. So I think we have to instill self-esteem inside of our sons. And we got to detach them from thinking that they got to get up and get 6 figures to go get a woman or get a degree to get a woman. No, you do these things because you are valuable. Like, you matter. Your life matters. You mean something to me just on just your sheer presence. We got to instill it into black boys, because if we don't teach our black boys how to value themselves, they cannot value a woman. They cannot value a wife. They cannot value children, because you're asking him to give something he's never received. So we got to teach that self-esteem. The other one is life objective. The reason I say objective is because we always say every man got to have a plan. Plans change. If you read the book, The Psychology of Money, it talks about certain variables that create this illusion that we have more control than we have. If you guys remember 3 years ago when this whole world was turned upside down by the virus that went out, all of us had plans, and those plans came to a halt. Couldn't control it. So what happens? Do you give up? No, you have an objective. And that just means that sometimes you have to alter the plan, but the goal and the mission doesn't change. So we got to instill this mission, this objective for our boys. And the last thing that I'll say, and this is a humongous one, we got to teach our boys patience. A lot of us, we talk about these gangs and these guys out here trying to get it fast. Well, we can't put all of the blame on them. Society, we teach those young boys that they got to have it as soon as they're 18. As soon as you're 18, you're grown. You're a man on your own. No, teach them patience. Teach them that life is going to be difficult and that anything worth having, you got to be patient with. You want to have a great marriage? You don't just find a great woman and then you got a great marriage. It takes patience to build and develop that. You want great children? I don't care how great of a father you are. I don't care how great of a father you are. Your kids are going to go through a phase where they ain't hear nothing you got to say. And if you don't have patience, you'll end up being frustrated and taking your frustration out, not knowing that their rebellion is just part of them developing their own identity, and that it's just a matter of time before they come back, like my brother OMAC said, and say, thank you for what you've shown me. You understand what I'm saying? So we got to teach our boys patience. So if we teach them this, we don't really have to worry about them living the fast life, because we give them self-esteem. They know that they mean something, that their life matters. We told them their value system, this is where their spiritual beliefs come in at. Right? We've given them that, and then we taught them patience, that you don't get it all right now. And in patience, you learn discipline and tenacity and perseverance and structure and order and discipline. And so we got to teach that to our boys. And I think if we do this, then we're going to see our boys not only produce more, but they're better individuals overall. And I land there.
Good stuff, man. Fellas, I mean, look here, man. Y'all on fire, man. I'm just in awe, man, by the conversation we're having, and it seems like the chat is really taking this in and really benefiting from it, and they enjoying it, and it's necessary. Because let me talk about this. Some of the things, the benefits of being a mentor and what it does for that young man. You know, it increased the high school graduation rates. It lowers the high school dropout rates. Healthy relationship with lifestyle choices. You know what I'm saying? Better attitudes about school and life. You know what I'm saying? It enhances their self-esteem and self-confidence. Strong relationship with parents, teachers, and peers. You know, decreases the likelihood of doing drugs and alcohol. You know, little stuff like this it just shows how important, you know, being a mentor and mentorship is for our young black men. They need this. They definitely need this, man. It is, you know, I've seen somebody said, you know, I would do it, but it's hard. Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Life's not easy, right? We know this. But guess what? Sometimes you got to do things that's going to challenge you. It's going to make you better. It's going to make you stronger. Sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do or you feel uncomfortable doing. I don't always want to go and after work and donate my time, an hour or two of my day when I could be come home, take a nap, chill, watch, relax, watch a game. I want to do that too, but at the same time, I know there's a bigger picture. Because at one time I may miss out on the opportunity of sharing with a young man that's going to change his life forever. And I don't want that on my conscience. So I'm going to keep on keeping on doing what I got to do. Do what I got to do. But there was another question that was asked via shout out to the brother for the $10 super chat. He says it's from my man Blaze's question. He said, even though you brothers are older, experienced, and established, do you ever feel that there are moments where you need guidance and mentorships? What are your expectations of them? Well,
can I go?
Well, as the oldest on the panel, I must say that
go ahead, OG.
You get jokes tonight, okay?
I'll go with that. Let's go with that. He's the oldest.
As the oldest.
Come on, Gramps. Speak up, Gramps.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, right. Definitely. To be honest, patience. Because I may have the patience. Like I wish it'd be great if I could transfer this patience to when I was 20. I'll be way down the street. But I think going forward, I've grown. My patience starting to drop because you get frustrated with seeing the younger generation make the same mistakes, and I think that's what a lot of old men end up going through. So I be needing patience, but I think I fall back on what my mentor taught me and what I learned along the way of being teachable and being coachable. And those boring lessons and hours, I heard him talk about that, and the hours of the videos and materials and books that he gave me to help me with that. It's allowed me to still get that mentorship from the spiritual side, that, you know, the God that we pray to in our respective religions, to hear reasons and opportunities and the lessons on how to be patient, you know what I'm saying, and the things that we need, because it's like little things, those little signs that life give you, those little conversations that you hear in the back of your head that's going on 2 hours across. You get to realize, oh yeah, that's for me. Yeah, that's for me. That part is for me. And being present in, you know, so like I have a 7-year-old, so I'm still in the middle of it. I ain't we way down the line and getting about here in terms of having an empty nest and stuff. So I still got to stay sharp. I still got to show him how to be patient. I still got to show him how to listen. And you know, it's I think you always have to keep a mentor as a mentor, especially when you're a dad and when you're a mentor, because you end up doing too much output and not intake. And I think, like I always ask a young man, hopefully I'm not. I hope I ain't what's the name? I got asked young men. I said, is your mind organized? And if your mind isn't organized, how do you go about organizing your said mind? Like any organization, you have to watch your intake and your output, and we end up, like I know I do. I end up giving too much out and not taking enough in. Pause, and you end up overextending yourself. So that's why I think I be needing patience, because I be looking to get the job done so much, because I do overextend myself a little too much. So yeah. I thought I was froze for a second.
Yep, I'll go.
No, you good.
Baby mama, you?
No, you good. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay, yeah, there we go. So, world class, I'm with you. As I've gotten older, and my kids have gotten older, this is why fathers are so important. Like, is young men and young is respective to the age. Like when I talk to a 60-year-old man, he'd be talking to me like I'm a teenager. Boy, you so young. I'm like, man, my knees hurt. What you mean? I got a little wisdom on me now. You like, brother, you ain't lived nothing. Nigga, you young. So, it's getting perspective for where you are. Like you're not going higher in life if you don't require a new mentor for that new level. You know what I mean? Like so you got a mentor. If you go to school, you got a mentor based on the grades you're in. If you're not elevating, you won't have mentors. But if you have mentors, you constantly stay in this state that you're not comfortable. And I'm not talking about acquiring material things. I'm talking about you as a person, as a man. Like at 20 years old, I was listen, I want it now. I want it right. I can't have it. I don't want it at all. Well, 30, you want it now, and you put some restraints. By 40, you start to even ask a deeper question. Does this even matter? You see what I'm saying? And when you have mentors can help you to literally save yourself of 10 years of stress if you just listen and say, you're taking a wrong route. You're trying to have the results of a 30-year marriage in year 2. It's not going to work. You're trying to have the perfect children. It's not going to happen, right? You want to be rich at 25. It takes work, it takes discipline. So when you have a mentor, mentors help you to slow down, and they don't just give you the answers. They make you see the big picture, right? I give you this real thing. So today, I just met somebody, one of my corporate leaders at work, real today. And my question to them was, when you do what you do, what do you look at? Right. So you have people on a job, right, who they have this particular position and they focus on this thing. If you're a leader, though, you can't focus on one minuscule detail if you want to be successful. You got to see what other people can't see so you can plan. And in order for you to see, you got to slow down and see what's really there. And I think that this is what men, as you get older, we all have to have. Like, you can't be so focused on the minuscule things because you can't see the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is where all the lessons you've learned, all the wisdom that you've developed, that's when you can really pour into people, when you see the grand scheme of things and you're not just irritated and agitated by the small things. So yes, I still have mentors today. And for big decisions, I'm going to make my own. I'm a grown man and I pay my own bills. But for big decisions, I consult, because I didn't come to this earth by myself, and I'm not going to get through this earth by myself as well. So,
amen.
Amen.
Well, let me say this. I know brother Hell has to drop her shortly. I want to say thank you for coming. Me and Sir Hale had a conversation. He sent me a message. Matter of fact, he sent me a clip of one of the sports shows I did, and it was the question of, what was Lamar thinking?
Okay. Okay. I think my internet is messing up. I'm at the drop on.
Something wrong? I'm sorry. No, but the brother sent me that clip, and I said, okay, this ain't the first time I've heard this conversation. It so happens again, when the good Lord bless you with people in your life and they share things with you, there's a reason. You know, like I said earlier, I was going to collab with Grace and Grace to Grace about doing a thing about mentorship, and I reached out to Brother Bolo, and he said he wanted to be on the show. So that already came up. We talked about it, but you know, like I said, Brother World Class said something about that. Him and Sir Hale talking about doing a show like that. I'm like, cool. So that's what I'm saying about things like that happen again. So when Sir Hale sent me that clip, I'm like, man, I thought about it. And then we talked on the phone, and I told him, I said, man, look, you know, I'm struggling. I'm thinking, you know, should I stop doing the thing I do on Wednesday and just go interfere more in sports? Because I talk about this other stuff on everybody else's shows that I'm a part of. But then I said, man, but I love giving back to these young men. And so shout out to Brother Hale for talking me through that conversation and making me see something a little different. So Brother Hale, with that being said, you inspired me, because so now I had another day of sports. So I'm gonna continue to do my thing on Wednesday, but I had another day of sports. I'm gonna do it on Thursday. So Thursday I'm starting in the month of March. I'm gonna start talking about sports 2 days a week and have my grown man conversation still on Wednesday. I'm not gonna let that go because it's too important. Conversations like this is way too important to let go or put off or rely on somebody else, and I can't do that.
Amen.
So if you want something done, you got to do it yourself, right? That's the old saying.
And
so that's
Hink,
why
you're doing it,
brother.
Yep, you're doing it.
Yeah, Hink, you definitely doing it, man. Salute to you. Thanks for having me on the show. Everybody support Brother Hink. Like this dude, like we see him online. Like Hink, like this Hink. I'm gonna just brag on you for a minute, and I'm not just saying something to be nice. I'm telling you the truth. You got a patience about you and a genuineness. If people don't know you, they don't know you. But you got a real genuineness, man, and a genuine care about people and very down to earth. I'm hoping that more people would not only consume your content, but get to know you as a person. Because if there's something else we need in the world, is we need men who are patient and who care. Like if we get off this, you make 6 figures, be the top 1%. Yeah, great. Do you care about people? We need more men who care about people, who are willing to sacrifice and to speak truth and don't care who don't like it, because we're looking at the bigger picture. So I want to salute to you as my big brother. Salute to you and what you're doing. I love your show. Anytime you need me to support and I can, I'll be here, man. From the bottom of my heart, appreciate your brother, and thanks for having me on.
All right, so peace.
Nice seeing you, brother.
World Class, Bolo, Bro Clarence, OMAC. God bless y'all.
My G.
Go ahead, Brother OMAC. If you want to answer the question, let me pull it back up so you make sure you see it.
Yes, I still have mentors that I still submit myself to, because look, I don't have all the answers. I just don't. And there are a group of older men who I do communicate with, that I do talk to, that look, that if I'm having a bad day, they can basically reach out to me and talk to me, whether I'm having trouble with family, business, or something got basically put into their spirit to call me. They call me and we talk. You have to have that, because like for me, my father died when he was 46 years old. So I'm now past my father's age. So it isn't like I can call my dad. It isn't like I can call my grandfather. He died years ago as well. Both grandfathers and both grandmothers, both on both sides of the fence, are passed away. Out of all the children, I am the eldest. I am also the first one that ever make 6 figures. I'm the first one to be married longer than my grandparents were married. Sitting there having 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls. Then the struggles of life, business, there's family issues with health and everything else like that. Yeah, look, I want to be honest. There are some days that you wake up, and like I said, I'm gonna wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm gonna go work out. I'm gonna wake up, go off to the side, and then I'm gonna pray. I'll be honest, there are just some mornings I'm struggling. I'm be honest, I'm just struggling. But that's why also that prayer, like that relationship with prayer is there. That's why there's a relationship with other godly men in my life who can sit there and see when I'm basically having a hard time. They can put their hand on my shoulder, even though they're considerably a lot smaller than me. But I've seen their walk in Christ, and that I look up to them, that even though they're 75 or 76 years old, and they're still spry. They still got the movement, they still got the heart, they still got the compassion to where they pour into me and understanding, hey, look, it doesn't look like things are going good today. Hey, what's going on? Or one where it gets that part where it does hurt that bad and you really can't say anything, but they can take you by the shoulders and just say, it's okay. And then they can give you a hug, and then it's all right. And then they can look you in the eye, they can give you the guidance that's needed, and say, look, I'm gonna pray with you. You want to bounce some more ideas? We're gonna fight through this. We're gonna work through this. Those are the things that are needed. And look, at every stage of your life, you're going to need mentors. You're going to need those men who know a little bit more about life than you do. The last thing that I ever want to be, OMAC does not want to be the smartest man in the room all the days of my life. I do not want to be. Because anytime that you get that conceited that you believe you are the smartest man in the room all the time, yeah, you're just a fool in thought.
Stressful.
Oh man, Brother Bowler, you want to tackle this
Yeah.
thing for me?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. First thing let me say is we need each other, man. That's the first thing. We need each other. And it's a beautiful thing to have. I mean, if you could take the question out just for a second, Hank, it's a beautiful thing to see these masculine brothers up here. Ain't nothing feminine about these brothers up here. Express the love that we have for one another and what we want to give back. That's a beautiful thing, man. Right? So these young men coming up, you don't have to think that you have to be that hard guy that walk down the street and crush the sidewalks every step that you take. So with mentorship, a lot of the times, with myself, a lot of times, sometimes you get too close to something, and sometimes you want to get some new eyes on the situation, right? So this is why you have that corner man, because when you in the ring fighting, you getting lumped up, so it's like going to see a 200-foot painting and you're standing 3 inches away from it. You're not taking in the whole piece. If you stand further away from it, you're able to see everything that you need. It becomes more clearer. So we a lot of the times we get so beat down going through what we've gone through to get to where we are today that we subconsciously and subliminally forget what we've gone through to get to where we are. And that's one of the reasons why we get so impatient with the youngins, right? Because we forget the heartache and the pain and the struggle and the falling and like my man World Class said, having to cut twice, to measure once as a young man. And we forget that. And in forgetting that, we become impatient with the youngins. And that's sometimes a disconnect between us. Because, they'll say, well, you guys did it too. And then you have to sit back and go, yeah, we did do it too. We did do it. Knowing your worth, man. So Hale touched on it. And I say this all the time. If you have $100,000 diamond, you did the math on it. You went and got it checked. You got the certifications, you did everything that you needed to do to get it certified as a $100,000 diamond. You ain't taking no shorts. You're not gonna sell it for 50,000. You're gonna sell it for 100,000. And I'm saying that to say that young men need to know what their worth is so that they can demand their value in their standard, right? And a lot of the times, these young men don't know what their value is. This is why they take shorts. This is why they're not patient. This is why they don't wait on the right woman. This is, again, like, Noble said and Brother Clarence said, it's the patient game. They think that I got to get it now. When you have to sit back and say, listen, man, the more you know, the more information you take in, the better decisions you're going to be able to make. It goes into what Noble was saying. If you measure 10 times and you cut once, it's going to be a pristine cut, opposed to you going back and forth to try and figure it out. So, again, our ego, and I've been on this rant lately. We're so egotistical, man. And sometimes ego is it can whisper into the conversations that we have. It doesn't have to walk into the room and yell. We suffer in silence, and that's a part of the ego. Not wanting to tell your brother what you're going through. Because maybe if I call Hink and talk to Hink about something, maybe he has the answer that I'm looking for. But because of my ego, because of my pride, I don't want to holler at him. And this is what we're taught as young, right? When you don't have that fatherly figure in your life, and your mother is telling you, hey, you're the man of the house and men don't cry. But your sister, who's the same age as me, or maybe a year younger, is allowed to go through all those emotions, but I'm not. And can you imagine being a young man from 5, 6? I've counseled men and women. I've counseled women with children where they've told a 7-year-old he's the man of the house. What does he do with that? What does a 7-year-old do with that? I'm the man of the house at 7. That means his thought process of a child stops now. Now he has to take what he's learned at 7 and apply that to this grown man world out here. And it doesn't equate, right? The math ain't math, and you're on third base with a hockey stick. So absolutely, we never stop growing. We never stop needing someone to help us measure. We never stop needing someone to help us make sure we're on the right path. This is the reason why Christ tells you, forsake ye not the assembly of one another. Why? Because many eyes on a situation, you might give me a better way of doing something. OMAC might say, yo, Bolo, I seen what you was doing, but do it this way. See how that works. Oh, word. Thank you, OMAC. And that's the problem with us as a people. We talk about community, but we have nothing in common, right? We don't have a common goal that we're shooting. And that's the thing. And when we talk about the village, that's why I named my channel The Village. And we talk about, it takes a village to raise a child. Why is that? Because if I'm the father and all of you guys are the uncle, I can only give my child my anecdotal experiences in life. Only the things that I've experienced. And and if you kind of put it to a picture, I'm gonna give them blue, OMAC is gonna give green, Hink is gonna give pink, World Class is gonna give orange, Bro Clarence is gonna give black, and together we have that colored picture opposed to having just a black and white picture. So this is why we need each other, man. We need each other, and that's the thing. So hell yeah, I got you guys' numbers. Y'all better pick up when I call.
Always.
I know that's right. Hey, I see that though. I said, who the hell did I remember? I was supposed to got a call earlier this morning, but it was just happening. But hey,
I was so caught up, brother. Hink. I was like, you know what? Let me holler, because I just, let me holler. So when I called, I was like, okay, that's the deep voice. He ain't give me the wrong number. So we good. And it's an honor to be on stage with you guys, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Oh, for sure, man. For sure. Man, I appreciate. Look, I appreciate the audience, man. The chat that are participating and coming with these great questions, man. These great questions. They every once in a while, I know people certainly all they have to deal with, like what we consider trolls and all that. But sometimes, man, they come through with some good questions. So I appreciate the chat for doing that, man, and for you guys being here. I know a couple guys I know he had to drop. I know Brother OMAC said he has to get up out of here, and I appreciate it. I'm gonna respect y'all time. Definitely want to do that. But if y'all can't stay a little longer, I understand. I'm gonna be here just a little bit longer, just to continue to answer any more questions that the audience may have for me. But with that being said, Brother Clarence, I'm gonna let you go next. Brother OMAC, I appreciate you, brother, for coming through.
No problem, brothers.
All right, peace. Appreciate it.
Brother
Peace,
OMAC,
brother.
before you go, I want to thank you. I had a show about Bitcoin and all that. Brother OMAC and Brother Ray came up and helped and taught me and my lady a whole lot. And then not only that, we had a sidebar and had a one-on-one meeting with him, and he went into more detail. He said, "Hey," he called me. He said, "Hey, it's the time to get in there. Please believe your boy got that LLC going and open accounts for Brother OMAC. I'm in there. I'm part of the Bitcoin fraternity now." So shout out to you, brother, for turning me on and educating me and giving me that knowledge. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
No problem. And brothers, look, y'all take it easy. I got to
Appreciate
get up early in the morning, but y'all stay blessed. And Hank,
Yeah.
thank you once again, brother. Thank you, Hank.
Yes, sir. No
All right,
doubt.
peace,
No doubt.
OMAC.
Peace, brothers.
Easy. All right. Brother Clarence, I definitely want you to go ahead and elaborate on the question. Let me make sure I post it for you so you can see it. I know old head like you forget stuff, so we all want to make sure the real old head of the group. I know World Class took it up off of you, but I'm gonna give that body back. You all the oldest on the panel.
Even though you brothers are older, experienced, and established, especially Hink, do you ever feel there are moments where you need guidance and mentorship? What are your expectations of them? Okay. First of all, yes, brother. I think that life is a classroom, and you always are going to be learning. So the minute you decide, I know it all, I know enough, and I don't need to learn anymore, I think that's where your death starts. But if you continue to educate yourself, continue to be around people that edify you, that then you can you can continue to grow. Because one of my mentors is on the panel with me now, Brother Bolo. That's one of my mentors, right? When I have a question about something, I want to discuss something, or the brother can encourage me, and it's likewise I can encourage him. And one of the things that I like is same thing with Hink. One of the things I like is I can go to those brothers and they don't have to agree with me. They don't have to say, "Oh yeah, you right, Clarence, you right, Clarence, you right." To me, that ain't mentorship. The better mentorship is, well, this is the way I see it. And then I can learn from Bolo, I can learn from Hink, I can learn from World Class, I can learn from any brother that's gonna be honest with me and say, "Nah, Clarence, that don't sound right." You know what I mean? And that is how we grow. Is as we got to be, number one, humble enough to take correction, and then wise enough to put it to use. And so if we always are seeking right guidance, we're always seeking the truth is going to sometimes agree with us and sometimes it's not. But we have to be willing to accept the times that it don't agree with us and rejoice in the time that it does agree with us. But we can never be so solid and stiff to say, "Well, I'm going to be delusional," and because that's the definition of delusion. When you see the truth and you won't accept it, you just say, you'll call it something else and move against the flow instead of saying, "This is the truth." Okay, I don't like that the truth, right? I don't like that I'm not spending enough time with my son. I don't like that. So what am I going to do about it? That's the thing. What am I going to do about it? Okay, mentoring starts at home. You got a son, you got daughters, right? Well, Clarence, I don't live with them. I don't live with you. Hey, we on StreamYard right now. StreamYard is free. You can get up to 10 of your kids on it, right? So we can always every day tap into our children. But the crisis in Black men is really serious. And yes, I need a mentor. I had two mentors that literally pulled me out of out of the mud, literally pulled me out of the mud. One of them has went on to greater things, but the other one is still here. I still tap into him, and just to get his idea. And he'll say, nah, man, that don't make no sense. Or he'll say, yeah, that's a good idea. Continue. But I noticed that as I got older and as I understood more, the difference in our opinions started shrinking. Same thing when I studied the Word of God. As I got old and studied it more, the difference in my thinking and the Word of God started shrinking. So I'm always looking to continue that shrinking in the difference between good people. So if you're gonna be if you as a man think that you don't need mentors in a wicked world like this, any one of us could slip. Any one of us could slip. I'm right down the street from a street called Figueroa out here in Los Angeles. And there's dudes out there right now on Figueroa paying for sex right now because the wife sent them to the store to go get something. And because they have some type of issue or frustration in their life, they made the bad decision to say, I'm going to get involved with this. And who knows how that's going to turn out. So, yes, I think, in my opinion, I think we all need mentorship into the day they bury us into the ground. We all need mentorship, and we should all be willing to accept it. And then, because we got to, like I said, we have to accept also that this world is wicked. It is a war against Black children in particular, not exclusively, but in particular, Black children are in the front of the line and Black boys are in the front of that line. So we have to step back in and try to mentor them. And at the same time, we got to be, if we're going to tell them when they wrong, we got to be willing to be told when we're wrong.
Good stuff, brother Clarence. I appreciate that, brother. I definitely do.
And can I say one more thing? Can I say one more thing, Hink? One more thing.
Go ahead.
The last thing I want to say. Okay, we as men, we as grown men, we are through this wicked society, we are promoting that the number one thing that our young men should be concerned about is being sexually selected by women. That is what we are promoting. Like we come out here and say, hey, I got this many women, I have this many experiences, I got this money, I got this, all of the different things we talk about puts us in a place in this hierarchy that women can use to sexually select. And what I'm saying is that should not be what we should be striving for. And we as the grown-ups have to start promoting that, hey man, you ain't got to compete with nobody. You can be the best you can be, and then women will select from, if they feel in your vibe, they'll select you. If they not, that's good. You don't want to get involved with, there's men down at the family court right now, men at the child support court right now, because all they had in common with somebody is the fact that they want to have sex at the same time with each other. So let's stop promoting the idea that sex is the ultimate goal, because that is a European philosophy. That's it. That's it.
Right. Right on. I didn't know you was going with that, but right on. Hey, man, look. One thing I want, a couple challenges out there that I've done and then I want to do now is every man. I want to challenge every content creator, every man that's on the sound of my voice that can hear me. I want to challenge you guys at least once a month. Once a month. I'm not saying every week. Not saying 3 or 4 times a week, not every day. Once a month. If you get the opportunity to mentor somebody, even if it's just a one-off, and you don't ever see that young man again, but take the opportunity to mentor one young man. That's my challenge. I'm gonna challenge you, and hopefully that mentorship could turn into a relationship for you and that individual, and it could continue to happen for you guys. But if not, Just try it. See how it makes you feel. Check out the results. And you may not see him already, but you may see him a little further down the road. I remember that young man. I remember I had a conversation. It doesn't cost you anything but your time. And I know how valuable time is for some people. But just take the time to do it. That's just my challenge. Let me one other story. It was I did shout out to the Salvation Army. I definitely benefit from Salvation Army, and that's one of the ones I forgot to mention that does a mentor program. I did an angel tree thing, and I do it every year. And I will continue to do it because I benefit from it because I was blessed with a Christmas or two from Angel Tree. And if it weren't, I would have gotten none of the stuff that I asked for Christmas, because when I was coming up, I didn't get brand new toys. See, I came up once my parents got divorced, and toys things went out the door because the money wasn't like it was, right? It just wasn't. So that's when I started getting the brown boxes on my porch. You know, the free food, the free cheese, the government cheese, the powdered milk, the Czech cereals with just black and white leather, the orange juice that had no sugar in it, but it had Donald Duck on the front. That's what I used to get in my early teen years. And so with that being said, I used to get toys from the Goodwill. I didn't get the opportunity of cracking the seal of the toy. The toys was already open. They was in a clear bag all together. Now they look beat up, scuffed up, but they was toys. And you couldn't tell me any different. I you know, friends didn't know I didn't get them brand new. They didn't know. I just know I had them. And those were the blessings I had until I started getting things from Salvation Army. But I do that on a regular basis because I continue to want to give back because I know how it was for me. So I definitely, next season, if you get the opportunity doing that, I know I'm putting a lot of challenge out there, but I know you guys can do it. I know y'all can. Y'all high value. Everybody 6 figures, right? Everybody got that, right?
Yeah, we ain't light skin. We can get it up.
Yeah. Everybody got it. They got it. It's up under the mattress. That's all right. But I challenge you to do that. Now I usually do 2 kids because it was to represent me and my brother. There was 2 of us, so I do 2 young boys, and I do that, and I make sure I get back. And I turned my son onto that a while back, and I really did it for a punishment, right? No, that was the funny thing. It was a punishment for him. Said I'm gonna give you toys away because you're acting bad. And I had to break the news. Santa Claus ain't real. I'm Santa Claus. Because he said, well, I ain't worried about it. Santa Claus gonna bring me something. What that burned me up. I said, whoop. I said, Negro, Santa Claus ain't real. I'm Santa Claus. he was in the like 3rd grade, 2nd grade, had crushed his soul, Noble. He didn't get nothing. And what he did get, I gave it away to the Goodwill. Well, not to the Goodwill. I gave it away to the Salvation Army. And I signed this up. I said, we're going to go and give gifts out. And we're going to sign up and sign people up for it. And that's what we started as a punishment. But then we started doing ever since then as a way of giving back. So I just challenge everybody to do an angel tree. You can do 1 child. You ain't got to do multiple child. Just one child. Just give back. It don't cost a lot. Again, if you talk to these department stores like I did, they will offer you a discount. Let them know what you're doing it for, and they'll give you a discount. I went to Burlington's, got most of the stuff, and got a 15% discount on top of the stuff they already had on sale. So shout out to them and Burlington. Shout out to Salvation Army. But just wanted to say I got one other story, then I'm gonna land it right there, and I'm gonna shut it down for the night. But I seen a young man in the Wendy's, and it was disappointing, right? It was very disappointing. You could tell the young man didn't have a lot of money. He had what he had. His mother sent him to get some food for her and him. So unfortunately, the lady at the counter didn't help him at all. So the 5 for $5, you get all, you get a hamburger, a fries, some nuggets, a drink, and a dessert for $5. Instead of her saying, hey, I know what you want, but how about you get this and you get more, and you still have money left over because he only had $20. She allowed that boy to get the $12 meal and still didn't get the dessert or the nuggets. I said, "Oh, young man." I said, "Ma'am, can you cancel that order?" "Well, he already paid for them." I said, "Ma'am, come on, ma'am. You and I both know he will get more, and you see the boy struggling. He's tatted, he ain't got a lot. Don't do that, ma'am. Come on, man. Are you getting some type of incentive for sales? I mean, if that's the case, then okay, I understand. Ain't gonna mess up your money, but you're not. So, ma'am, don't do that." So she ended up canceling the sale. It took a lot of convincing, but she eventually did it. But I seen that when I tell you, when I see young men like that, I see me. No, I ain't gonna lie, man. And it pulled my heartstrings to see that happen. And she wouldn't. Man,
Take your time, brother. Take your time.
But Bolo, man, we gotta do better, man. Let's just get to the story. We have to do better. Who's going to take care of us better than us?
Yeah.
Who's going to love us better than us?
Absolutely.
Who's going to understand it more than us? We are. At the end of the day, we could say that, but at the end of the day, we got to make sure we take care of each other.
Yeah.
So to allow that young man to go out like that, and that's a $10 difference. You could say that, young boy, but instead you was ready to do all that for your company. Really don't give a goddamn about your black ass.
Exactly.
So
I forget where I hear this from. I heard this from, but I heard you just quantified it, right? I forget who I heard it from, but they said that older men see themselves in the younger men that they mentor, the younger men that they see. And older women are at competition with the younger women that they see. Like they have an issue. It's like an issue. Like if you see a young brother who's trying to figure things out, and instead of you understanding and tapping in, you have to have this brother go through the ringer just to get to the point of saying, let this brother save some money and have some money in his pocket. That goes to show you where our community is. And it starts with us, bro. It starts with us having conversations like this. It starts with us doing what we're doing in our own communities. It starts with us, because there's enough of the nonsensical conversations that you hear on YouTube, man. These cats, you hear the conversations, they base their relationships off their wallet. They base their relationships and their position in the home off of how much they make. And it shouldn't be that. A man doesn't provide monetarily. And this goes into teaching confidence, self-esteem, giving them understanding, being patient, allowing these young men to understand about responding opposed to reacting, and letting them know that in life it's not about how well you plan. It's about how well you cope when your plan fails. A lot of us don't have those coping mechanisms. We were never taught that. You know what I'm saying? So, we're only taught that if things go right, but we're not taught about if things go wrong. And I believe World Class touched on that earlier, that these are the things that these men, critical thinking, knowing that the math doesn't add up. As Brother Clarence said, you do a crime that takes 30 seconds and you get 50 years. The math don't add up. So we have to start slowing things down. No one wants to be doctors. No one wants to be lawyers, plumbers, electricians, mechanics. Everybody wants to be a rapper or a basketball player. This is what everybody wants to do. We're not teaching them the value of working with your hands. So we have to start letting these young men know that getting dirty when you work don't mean that you're less of a man. It doesn't make you less of a man. You're not defined by your money. You're defined by your character and your integrity, your intention, and your relationship with God. That's what you're measured by.
Absolutely.
Muted, man. You muted.
Oh, you muted. I thought it was me at first.
Oh shit. You right. My bad. I'm tripping.
Stop leaving them girls at the restaurant, man. You remember to unmute up, man.
Look here, man. Don't try to get me in trouble with that. Man, Clarence, why you won't take it there, man? We was having such
because I love that. I love that saying, man. I love that saying. I think it's so right to the point, right? It's just like you don't have to be disrespectful or nothing, man. Just hey, leave it right there, man. If it's not going good, have a good life. You know what I'm
Walk
saying?
away. Take some breadsticks with you.
Noble said get a water to go.
Yeah.
Take the menu so you see what you're gonna get when you come back and stay for real.
And I'm taking one straw.
Hey man, look here, man, y'all crazy. But let's go with some final thoughts. Brother Clarence, since you already got the party started with the jokes, go ahead.
Well, first of all, man, I'm honored to be on the panel with everybody up here, man. Shout out to World Class, shout out to Hink, shout out to Bolo, Sahel, and OMAC, and any other brother that wanted to come up here just got in kind of late. I'm sure you're gonna have your chance to come up here and tell your thoughts, and we'll get a chance to listen to what you got to say too, man. So it ain't just, I guess, just us gonna be up here. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be a plethora of different brothers who got good ideas, who got solutions to this situation. And I think, I already told Hink in the back chat that this is something we should be doing every month. You know what I mean? And just as brothers talking about how we can, or giving each other solutions and suggestions of how we can do stuff. Right. I learned a lot from Hink saying about the Salvation Army and Boys Club and all that. Reach out to some of them, see what we can do, But my final thoughts on the whole situation is, man, nothing's gonna change unless we as Black men change it. As far as our young Black men, who that crisis is that's a nice word. That's a nice way of putting it. They're actually at critical mass where it's just terrible, and they're up against the wall, and the plan that the government of the United States has for them is, hey, if they can't act right, even though they don't teach them how to act right, but they say if they can't act right, we're just going to build more prisons. And so that's why over half of the prisoners in the United States are Black, right? Black men, excuse me. So therefore, to turn that around and to fix our community, and our communities are paying for it. Our communities are paying for it. Our young men are paying for it. The girls are paying for it, because where are the men to protect them when the diddlers come in to the community, when the the people that want to take advantage of the women come in, the abusers, the violators? Where are our men? Some of our men are in prison. Some of our men are strung out on drugs. I mean, it's a whole plan, an organized plan to keep our the numbers of strong, decent Black men at bay. So it behooves us as a community to see it as a critical situation and jump in there. I'm talking in particularly the men, not so much the women, but the men. It's up to us to reach back, because like Hink said, we've all had I think World Class said the same thing. We all had issues when we were coming up, and somebody stepped in there for us. So, we could do that. Shout out to Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee used to take me to the basketball games, and my father was working. I didn't have a way. He would just squeeze me in the car some kind of way, right, with the other players, right? So shout out. There was always a man out there, and we can acknowledge the women sometimes, but the men, we just don't acknowledge them. And so let's work together to try to make things better. At my channel, we're trying to do some things to try to put that together, try to get a facility. If you're interested in helping us, go to my page and you can see a GoFundMe where we're trying to raise some money to try to get a facility where we can teach the young men in home. We can put them in a van and bring them over there, sit them in the classroom. We have a classroom part. We have workout area part with the mats and the punching bags and all of this stuff, so they can work off some of that aggression. We trying to do it. So if y'all think that's something that y'all might be interested in, we trying to put that in the works now. So come over there and check it out. Hink, thank you always, brother, always being on the front line with me and Bolo to go out and teach these young men. Me and Hink and Bolo have taught several different classes with these young men. So don't go away, Hink, because I need you. I need you, brother. We're gonna try to get it started back up. But anyway, man, thank you for having me, man. Anytime you need me, just like whenever I call you, you're available. I'm available, brother. Just let me know.
I got you. I appreciate you. Thank you, brother Klein. Thank you, brother Klein.
Yes, sir.
Brother Bolo, you up
Yes,
to
sir.
See,
Yeah. There's a few things I want to say. We need to stop looking at things through a tunnel vision. We need to have panoramic vision. We need to take in the whole view, see things from different perspectives, so that when we do make that decision, it's the best decision for that moment. We need to get rid of our egos. When we look at the acronym of ego, it's exiting God out and doing things on our own. And we need to get back to that relationship, that spiritual relationship, and allowing Him to lead us. We need to learn that movement doesn't mean progress. A lot of the times we think movement is progress, and it's not. A lot of us, especially the youngest, that we've healed broken, right? And we need to go back to those traumas and those experiences that they've experienced, and not be afraid to go into it and actually correct it. And don't get it twisted. Every chapter that we close may not be a happy chapter that we close, but it's a chapter that's dealt with and a chapter that is closed, and it no longer hinders you from growing. And last, but certainly not least, your presence deserves your attention, but your past requires your understanding. There's going to be a lot of things as we go day to day that, we need to be cognizant of. But when you get home and you're able to relax and go into your mind's eye and actually prepare and learn from what you've learned, from your past, it's going to prepare you for your future. We learned from the past. It just is what it is. A lot of the people don't understand that we live in the present, but we learn from our past. So with that being said, guys, thank you for having me. And if you ever need me, you know where to find me, brother. I appreciate, and it's definitely an honor having you guys allow me on the stage with you. So nothing but love.
appreciate you. Peace.
Thank you, brother Bolo, for coming, brother, and answering the call, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Brother World Class.
All right. Yeah, definitely appreciate everybody that came up on the panel. Everybody that came through on the chat. Everybody on the replay, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new to your channel. Share it out to mom and them, send it to any young man that you may think need to hear it. What I will stress is, I think the fundamentals that a mentee or a young person or younger person that needs guidance is teachability and coachability is everything. That's what makes everything that we said up here matter, is your ability to be taught, to be coached. It can't be emphasized enough, because that ability to receive is in your favor. It allows you to, what's in it for you when you are mentee, when you're learning, is you get fresh perspectives that, like I said, with my mentor, he said, reiterated, he said, reading books is like time traveling. He said, if you can get somebody's living experience and it took them 60 years to get it, and you can get it in 2 weeks or a week reading a book, you just travel 60 years in 2 weeks. And that's what it affords you. It gives you an opportunity, like it was said earlier, to save yourself a decade. This level of interaction between mentor and mentee can save you decades, can help you and allow you to live a life worth remembering. So that's all I offer anybody, is an opportunity to be remembered all the time, to do something so great in your life that your people around you or your family have to remember you for all time, so you won't die twice, offering you a second life. You understand? So it's important for you as a person that needs mentoring a mom, a dad that may think that the baby need to hear somebody else's perspective, which is okay. You know, even as parents, that may happen with my son. He may need to hear a different voice, and we got to be open to that aspect and give them. And what benefits you when a child is given that is, as a mentee, is getting first perspectives, getting as many perspectives as possible, so you can see the big picture, like Bola was saying a little bit earlier, stepping back and getting a full picture of it, the different perspectives. Like one of the things that I learned was macro thinkers and micro thinkers, and which one I was and why. Helped me understand why I stuck to certain things and why I was great at certain things. But getting to understand an opportunity, especially coming from the hood, a perspective you never even known about ever in life. So it's a dope process. This was a dope live. Shout out to everybody that super chatted me and Hink, and everybody that supports us, all the ladies that came through. Shout out to all the babies, old and young, of the fathers that came up here that gave us opportunity to share and deposit into another family and another generation. So, you know what I say, man, it ain't but two classes on this planet, never been three. You have a world class or you outclass. And the question is not which class you want to live in. The question is which class are the ones coming behind you deserve for you to die in. On your feet, on your knees, respect the craft. No.
Right on, big brother, right on. Do this. Said much respect to Hink and the brothers on the panel. All right, the other topic. This was a breath of fresh air. Well, brother, I'm glad it was for you, brother Blaze. And thank you for coming through, man. Thank you for coming through. I'm glad. Look, Blaze, man, AP said he agrees 100%. Look, stuff like this is definitely necessary. We can go anywhere and get the other stuff.
Yeah.
he can go anywhere and get that. You know, and again, I want to do something different because we need something different. We can't talk about relationships all the time, can we? I mean, there's the other relationships that's important. That's our children.
Indeed.
And that's a very important relationship that definitely needs to be discussed on a regular basis. Sometimes I feel like that they don't even care. You know, they don't even want to talk about it. They want to have a conversation. Why don't we talk about some way to protect kids more than just about some of the stuff we hear on these streets? So I want to do something that's going to not only encourage somebody with uplift, I want to make them think.
Indeed.
I definitely want to challenge them. So that's why I do the topics I do, because that's my goal. That's what I'm pushing. That's my purpose. And so with this topic today, this is what it needed to be done. Oh, man, it said drama sells. I agree. Look, I know. When my daughter comes over, she won't watch certain things on my TV. I say, why you watch that bull crap? Why you watch Housewives of whatever? But like you said, drama sells. It does. But you know what doesn't sell? A lot stuff like this. You're not gonna get the views you probably really deserve and should get, but that's okay. That's not what I'm doing. I'm doing it to put the message out there. You know what I'm saying? No, the message. And when I'm gone and moved on, my son can go back and say, okay, this is what my dad was talking about on this YouTube show. Even though once every 20 episodes he'll check in. He won't hit no like button or nothing like it. He won't give me that much credit, but he'll watch and he'll send me a text. Daddy, I watch your show. I appreciate that, brother. Did you subscribe? Yeah, I subscribed. I looked on the list. His name ain't on there. You lying ass.
I asked my son one day. I said, "You want to watch Daddy channel?" He said, "No." I said, "Okay."
At least he's out. He's out. But I ask him, and he'll tell me some of the stuff I talk about on the show. So he watch it. Now he might not do nothing else with it. He probably only gave me about 2 or 3 minutes. He's sitting there, lay on his bed with a phone in his hand, looking at it, and then he'll tap out to move on to either some highlights of a basketball game. I'll either watch somebody play Madden. That's what he'll do.
Right.
But that's a whole different subject. Brother, I appreciate you guys, man, coming through tonight. I promise you I do.
Yeah, definitely. I'm out, bro. I appreciate you, man. Great show. Great ideas. Let's keep them coming.
Well, for sure, man. And a thought that Brother Clarence put out once a month. Hey, I could definitely see it. And let me say this: if there's anybody else who wants to have this discussion, we can make it happen once a month. We definitely can. I don't have no problem. I'm sure some of these brothers wouldn't have no problem returning and bringing in new brothers who may want to come up and share the stories and share their experience and share what and all that good stuff. I'm sure they are. So let me know. You know, if you look at my description of the show, you'll see my contacts either on Facebook, on IG, email, all that. Hit me. Let me know what y'all think, and if y'all got some ideas for another mentor show, I'll be more than glad to open the list to. I'm always willing to learn, brothers. I promise you that. I'm always willing to learn. I appreciate everybody who came tonight. Brother Noble, again, I want to say thank you, brother, for definitely planting the seed and putting water on it, because you definitely did that. Brother Sir Hale, Brother OMAC, Brother Bolo, and Brother Clarence, man. Thank all them brothers, man, for coming through, rocking out with us, man, tonight. And looking forward to doing more shows with you guys, for sure. For sure, man.
Peace, bro.
So with that being said, man, thank you, Brother World Class, man. I'm going to catch you. And I want to say thank you for everybody who tuned in tonight. I thank y'all for being here. Y'all could have been anywhere doing anything, but I thank you. So again, like I said, I will be definitely doing more shows like this and other shows, trying to see how people win. Having good conversations, real conversations that definitely need to be talked about. So thank them brothers for coming through, man. Let me make sure I acknowledge the brothers from Super Chat. So, Brother Tat, I mean, you came through big time, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Dedicated to my children's future. Thank you for the membership. Gift another membership. Thank you. Brother Payne. My man, Delario. Man, thank you, brother. Brother Mike. Thank you for coming through, brother. Hope all is well with you. OG Duke 30. Shout out to you, brother. Thank you for the super chat. And thank you for everybody in the chat with the great question, brother. He said, Sister Hines, brother Chatman coming through with great questions, brother Blaze with a lot of great questions, and everybody else who came with great questions, man. Man, shout out to you guys. Everybody in the chat that came, man. Sister Neil. Shout out to my moderator, Dorian. Shout out to some of world class people, man. They came through. Alexis from Texas. Shout out to you, sis, for coming through. Who else? Travel One. Shout out to that, sis. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look, shout out to everybody. I appreciate you guys. Hassan, shout out to you, my brother Scarlett. Shout out to you, my man Derek J. Shout out to you, Brittany. Shout out to you. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my brother Ronnie for coming through. And guys, guess what? If you miss it, definitely take the opportunity to watch the replay. Please take the opportunity to share it. You know, I'm sure you got some parents out there, man, that are probably going through it. Hopefully, like brother Sir Hill said, I won't say this. Don't wait till it gets bad before you start looking for mentorship for your sons. Do it as early as possible. And let me say, the first mentor should be the father. Let me say it again for those in the back that didn't hear me. First mentor should be the father. He should be the one teaching and educating. But for some reason, if he's not around and not in a child's life on a regular basis, ladies, do something for your sons. Make that happen. Make that happen. But with that being said, definitely I appreciate you guys for coming through. Thank you for rocking with me. Like I said, I do have a membership. You guys are more than welcome to join us. I feel like it's a reasonable price. Like I said, dedicated to my church future. Shout out to you for donating the membership. And for everybody who came tonight, man, thank you for rocking with me. I appreciate it. And looking forward to doing many more shows with you guys. Until then, be easy.